Alright, let's go ahead and get started, shall we? Let's get our game on the main screen. Both here and here. Another early stream. Damn, are you the real Logic Blade? Yes, actually. Fate has conspired and has given me another opportunity to stream at a reasonable freaking time of day. So, here I am. Logic Blade. Back with another episode of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Last time around, we started up the very first case, and we discovered that we have been framed for murder. So, instead of having our best friend, who happens to be an amazing defense lawyer, represent us, we're doing it ourselves. Because, if we get found guilty, bad things gonna happen to our friend, and we obviously can't let that happen. So, here we are, defending ourselves in a court of law for the very first time, with our very lives on the line. Doesn't get much more high pressure than this, right? Anyway, before we get started, my name is Logic Blade. I stream on Twitch, and I port all my videos to YouTube, so you can check me out either here or there. If you're interested in reading some fan fiction of mine, feel free to check out my AO3 page. All links are on the description below. And, yeah, that's about all I want to plug for now. So, yeah. Let me just go ahead, close this, and we can get started. Alright. Is that off my autosave? It is off my autosave. Yeah, because I was like, I have a save that's like 5 minutes later. Right? Yeah, whatever. Okay. Here we are, the second part of the trial. 22nd of November, 11:38 a.m. The Supreme Court of Judicature. Defendants, Antechamber 5. Excellent work, Ryunosuke. That was superb. My heart was in my mouth the entire time. It was almost unbelievable. I mean, looking at you in there. You were drenched in sweat, your eyes popping, your knees knocking, and you were grinding your teeth. It was a grim sight, but before I knew it, you started finding inconsistencies in the testimonies. I think you might have a natural talent for being a lawyer. Forget it, it's terrifying. If I get through this, I don't ever want to see the inside of a courtroom again. Real mom spaghetti moment there. Oh yeah, for sure. Also, welcome to the stream, Flanker. Glad you could join us today. Anyway, looks like we've exposed your phantom lady at last. Miss Giselle Brett, a student from Great Britain, is she? That's what I was trying to tell everyone from the start. Dr. Wilson wasn't alone. There was a young woman with him, like I've been saying all along. Yes, you have, haven't you? I might not be overly confident in the courtroom, but my powers of observation are one thing I'm sure of. Yes, I can see that. So, about this young gentlewoman. Thanks to our detective friend, she was hastily escorted away from the scene, it seems. Did you see what happened with that? No, I didn't see any of it. I was just on my way out of the restaurant myself. Then, on the floor next to Dr. Wilson's table, I noticed there was a gun lying on the floor. And just after I bent down and picked it up, I didn't have time to think about where the sound of that gunshot had come from. The waiter ran over to me, looking as white as a sheet, and he bundled me into some sort of small pantry next to the kitchen. Fast thinking by the detective, he apprehended his suspect without a moment's delay. Yes, and because I was shut in the pantry, I have no idea what happened outside in the dining area. Ah, there you are. Well done, both of you. Professor Mikotoba. Well, it seems I was right. The pair of you make an outstanding team. You've exceeded my expectations, I have to say. Yes, it seems you planned this from the start. You arranged things so I wouldn't be able to act as the lawyer in this trial. Our modern country is still in its infancy. Our justice system, even more so. Which is why I firmly believe that we need to send our brightest young stars overseas to learn all they can. I wanted to avoid a situation that may have resulted in your study tour to Great Britain being cancelled. Well, it makes no difference. Lawyer or otherwise, if I'm the kind of man who can't help his best friend avert the worst crisis of his life, I shouldn't waste everyone's time by going to study overseas anyway. What? What are you saying, Kazuma? So that's your stance. Hey, Grumpy, you're not at work today, so you get to stick around for a while. Very nice. You get to enjoy crazy Ace Attorney shenanigans. I was afraid you'd feel that way. Kazuma! Well then, it looks like it all comes down to you, young man. To me? Yes. You need to prove your innocence and uncover what really took place in that restaurant. I must say, I very much want to know the truth. After all, I have a personal connection to this case. Come to think of it, he said the same thing earlier this morning, didn't he? He's gonna sit here and enjoy the hero wind blowing through Kazuma's infinite ammo bandana. He probably plays Contra. If you don't mind me asking, Professor, did you know the victim? Yes, I did. As you're probably aware, Dr. John H. Wilson was a visiting professor at UME. And it was I who invited him. Oh, I see. I didn't know that before. Anyway, you're about to go into battle. The victim was a university professor from Great Britain, and a well-known one at that. Naturally, our government is looking to identify and punish the culprit as quickly as possible. But let's not forget who we're going up against. The gentlewoman whose involvement our police bureau went to extraordinary lengths to hide. Yes, and I'm sure the prosecution will be using every tool at their disposal to quash your case. But I've no doubt that you pair will put up a good fight, right to the last. Best of luck. Thank you. Now then. I need you to run an errand at the university at once. There's something I think we may need. Of course. Good luck, Kazuma-san. Defendant Naruhodo! Court recess is over. Please make your way back inside the courtroom at once. It's time. Let's get back to it, partner. Let's go in there and deal a decisive blow, before these old fossils know what hit them. Kazuma? What? Thank you. Really. What for? Well, if you hadn't said you believed me, then I'm fairly sure I'd already have been found guilty by now. Look, I have faith in you. As a lawyer, and as a friend. Coming from you, that means a lot. My boys. If I'm found guilty in this trial, he's really gonna give up on his dream of studying abroad. That's the kind of true friend he is. So this isn't just my battle anymore. Whoever we're up against, we absolutely cannot afford to lose. Yeah, we're in the middle of the prologue trial, Grumpy. Alright then. I'll save the thank yous for after the trial. You can treat me to one of those sukiyaki meals I like from Yume Cafeteria on University Street. With an extra large portion, of course. Yep, power of friendship. Unbeaten. Unrivaled. 22nd of November, 12:09 p.m. Supreme Court of Judicature, Courtroom 2. Power of the wind. Yep. This court hereby resumes the trial of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Prosecutor Aochi, have you managed to subpoena the witness?
Yes, Your Excellency. Against all odds. And thanks to a certain young stripling, the prosecution is now under rather painful scrutiny from the government.
Sorry. Let the government scrutinize. That's their job. It's nothing to worry about.
It's highly unlikely that the good relations we've forged with Great Britain will emerge from this trial unscathed. Will you still think it's nothing to worry about when the new treaty breaks down and our nation founders?
Again, terribly sorry. That was supposed to be nation flounders, but, The friendship between our nations is really so fragile, and the treaty isn't worth the paper it's written on. You really have nothing to worry about, Ryunosuke?
What do you mean?
A secret trial, anxiety over some foreign government's opinions, a bungled investigation, missing witnesses. Is this what our nation's justice system is? Is this the Supreme Court of Japan, or of England?
Shut up! Shut up, you jumped-up rookie boy! You and your friend know nothing. Nothing of the situation our nation finds itself in. By aligning ourselves with this great world power, we'll become strong. Diplomacy has never been more critical. Steady political maneuvering is what will secure our futures.
I won't deny that I'm no expert. I'm just a student, and one who could arguably study harder too. But standing here now in our Supreme Court, there's one thing that I feel very strongly. A country that fails to uphold the truth in its justice system is a country with no future at all. Well said, Ryunosuke. Despite the wide-eyed look of terror.
You little brats!
Thank you, Counsel. This court is the pinnacle of our nation's justice system, and exists solely for the pursuance of truth. With that in mind, this trial will now resume, with the next witness taking the stand. The visiting student from Great Britain, Miss Giselle Brett.
Yes. Your Excellency!
Oh, that's such a good, Oh shit, it's a duck. It's a swan, you dumbass.
Well, what a delight it is to welcome such a fine gentlewoman to Japan, and from such a distant land.
Tea. Someone bring English tea. In England, no discussion takes place without tea. That hat is amazing fashion. It certainly is. Is that true? No idea.
So, could we possibly trouble you to state your name and occupation for the court?
Of course. Are we found innocent yet? We're trying. We're trying our damnedest. Of course. My name is Satoru Hosonaga. I have been working undercover as the head waiter at Le Carnival, but my true...
Yes, we know all about you already.
Inspector Hosonaga, where are your manners? In England, it's always ladies first. Is that true? No idea. More importantly, a little earlier today you said something to me. You said your powers of observation are the one thing you're sure of. Oh, yes, I think I did, didn't I? Yet your description for this amazing sight was simply a woman. Sorry, Ryunosuke, but powers of observation aside, your powers of description are sorely lacking. Guilty.
So, dear lady, once again, if we may trouble you for your name and occupation, please.
Goddamn simps. Yep, pretty much. Excuse me? Yeah, same. I'm terribly sorry, dear lady, but... What? I assume she's speaking in English, and that's why we don't understand what they're saying. The lady says her name is Giselle Brett. She comes from London, England. She's a visiting research student, currently enrolled in Yume University's medical faculty. Oh my! What a rare treat to hear the dulcet tones of the delightful language of the British people. I'm afraid I don't understand a word you said, but it was as beautiful as a hummingbird's song. As far as I can tell, the detective is translating her words faithfully enough. Yes, I agree. You'll obviously do fine in England, Kazuma. Her English doesn't rattle you at all, does it? Nor you. You've clearly been paying attention to your English classes, Ryunosuke. Yeah, this prosecutor is hella thirsty. Oh my gosh. The judge might be too. The court thanks the beautiful lady for taking the stand. Now, if we may trouble you to confirm something, Miss Brett. 3 days ago, at a restaurant called La Carnival, a grim murder took place. The court has been led to believe that you were dining there with the victim, Dr. Wilson, at the time. Is that correct? Psst, 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 psst. Oi, chaps, got me some tea and biscuits? She says, yes. This could take some time. So, even though she's studying here in Japan, she can't speak any Japanese? Oi! Fish and chips, love! Crikey! I'd love me some fish and chips and some bangers and mash. She'd like to apologize for disappearing from the scene. She says that she was due to make a presentation at the university, so she had to leave immediately. Crikey, that's Australian. Australian, British, they're all the same, really. Don't actually say that to British people or Australian people. Interesting. When you're the one who engineered her escape. I was just following special orders from the Bureau. Well now, dear lady, would you be so kind as to cast your eyes over this photographic print? Seeing as you were so unfortunately present at the scene of the crime, could it be that your resplendent eyes caught sight of the wicked perpetrator, perhaps? I don't have enough British witticisms to say. Chicky Nando's, bruv! Apparently, it was a very frightening and sorrowful sight. Do you mean to say? Yes. It would appear that the lady did witness the crime. The very moment when the accused, standing right there in this courtroom, shot the victim in cold blood. Cheerio, chap. Order! Order in the court! Did you hear that, Your Excellency? Here we have an absolutely conclusive witness statement. Well, it looks like it's clear now. Clear who our real enemy is. Unfortunately, I will have to ask you to formally testify, if you please. Kindly tell the court the exact nature of this frightening and sorrowful sight you described. Psst, 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 psst. Witness testimony. A frightening and sorrowful sight. I had arranged to meet for a slightly late luncheon with Dr. Wilson that day. The professor was unable to eat, so I ordered for myself only a beefsteak. After a while, the accused came over to greet the professor, and they got into a fierce argument. Then, not long afterward, the accused took the professor's gun and shot him right before my eyes. I don't carry a gun myself, so obviously I couldn't have been the culprit. This is a condemning test. No, I didn't have any kind of argument with the professor at all.
Objection!
Quiet, you filthy wretch! Look at you, you black-hearted blackguard! And look at this snow-white angel! I'm sure even a dark-minded scoundrel like you can imagine whose words the court is going to believe. Ugh. You're still making the same mistakes, Ryunosuke. You mustn't blurt out when you're goaded like that. That is a lesson you need to learn. Ugh. But he's so annoying! Of course, I was at the scene as well. I took statements from this lady and the two witnesses who testified before, and reported back to the Bureau. It was decided that Miss Brett was not involved, so I let her go. Testimonies of the last two witnesses were completely worthless, however. Well, even so, on the day in question, the lady was wearing the same outfit as she is today. As you can see, there was nowhere about her person where it could... That's just false! Do you see the size of this freaking hat? She can hide a gun in there. God. Do you see the size of her? I'm sure we can't really see her skirt underneath, like, the bench. But, like, that is a wide skirt. There is... Come on. Okay, thank you, Ryunosuke. Thank you. I would think that she could hide a gun almost anywhere in that outfit if she wanted to.
Unless and until the precise location where the witnesses to have hidden a weapon can be shown, this is moot.
There are no pockets in my outfit. I have nowhere to hide a gun. Those are the witness's own words on the matter. Ugh, that's ridiculous. If only I was allowed to lift up her dress, I could prove it. It's kind of sketch, Ryunosuke. Don't think about doing anything rash, Ryunosuke. But I didn't fire the gun I picked up. There must have been another gun there that day. You're right about that, which means this lady was hiding a gun somewhere. Yes, that's what we have to prove now. And to do so, we will need to pull her testimony apart. She smirked. She's evil! Victorian Me Too, here we come. The defense may now cross-examine the witness. Oh, yes, Your Excellency. Alright then, let's press some statements and see what we get.
Yes!
Meantime, I'm gonna have some water. After 2 p.m., in fact. That's really quite a late lunch, isn't it?
Objection!
You don't keep up with the latest fashions from Britain, do you? Late luncheons are on vogue. Isn't that right?
No. A decisive English no has quite a sting to it. The gentlewoman is currently working in the victim's research laboratory, it seems. Why couldn't we bring back Holdback? Yes, hold it. Yes makes no sense in this context. I know. But, I mean, that's what he says. He holds up his hand and he says, "Hi!" So, it was apparently a daily occurrence that they would lunch together. But on the day in question, the victim had another appointment at the clinic first. Yes, which we can prove from the medical report card that was submitted as evidence earlier. That's right. Miss Brett and the victim went to lunch following the victim's treatment, which is why it was so late. Yes, that all makes perfect sense.
Such wonderful logic.
What a shining example of English intelligence this fine gentlewoman is. So you both arrived at the restaurant. What happened next? The professor was unable to eat, so I ordered for myself only a beefsteak.
Yes!
This prosecutor is such a kiss ass. I know, it's terrible, but it's also amazing. He was unable to eat, you say? And that was because he just had a tooth removed at Hoda Clinic, correct? That's right. You're supposed to actually check with the witness before answering. Was Miss Brett aware of that fact? It seems so, yes. She heard that the professor was to have some dental treatment. So that would mean that it was you who ate the steak pictured here. Is that right, Miss Brett? That's right, yes. The print you have there shows the table exactly as it was left after the horrifying events. Exactly as it was left? Dear me, what a harrowing experience! To have traveled to a distant island on the far side of the world and be embroiled in such a tragic incident. Have no fear, my dear lady. I swear I will crush the evil fiend that has subjected you to this terrible plight. So the victim, Dr. Wilson, had nothing to eat or drink at all? That's right, other than some carbonated water. Just water? Yes, the professor was unable to eat, but he had been given permission to drink water. Sorry, it says right here. You've been prohibited or drinking anything but water. Okay, that checks out. So it appears that the diners toasted their lunch with a glass of water each. They each raised a glass of carbonated water. But there's only one glass of water on this table. What do you think, Ryunosuke, about the witness's last statement? It's pretty meaningful to me. That last statement of yours, Miss Bryce, has a profound bearing on this case.
Well, well, how fascinating. Do tell us, what is this profound bearing,
The significance of the statement will become apparent when the time is right. The defense calls for the witness's last statement to be formally added to the testimony.
Well sidestepped, counsel.
Very well, Miss Brett. Kindly repeat what you just said to be added to your official testimony. Gladly, she said. That was brilliant, Kazuma. I'm gonna remember that one. Which one? The significance will become apparent when the time is right. I could really use that phrase. I'd hope there are some more useful tips you're picking up from this experience than that, Ryunosuke. Oh, man. Alright, so, I'm gonna press the statement again. No copyrights in Meiji, Japan. Nope.
Yes!
So, both you and the professor drank this carbonated water, did you? Yes. Being the waiter, I poured the 2 glasses myself. I clearly remember doing so. Except you're actually a detective. And the beefsteak. That was for you, Miss Brett. The lady says that she'd heard it was not customary to eat beef here until Japan opened its doors to the world. Yes, that's true. What a frightful place, is the lady's opinion. And I've heard it's not customary to eat sashimi in Great Britain. Now that's frightful. Every country has its own cuisine. As long as people have food to eat, what does it matter what it is? True. Come to think of it, the first time I tried carbonated water, It was much more of a shock than the first time I tried beef. But anyway, back to this witness's statement. Somehow, I feel like there's something out of place in what she's saying. I already know what it is, but I'm just pressing all the statements. We need to pounce on even the slightest thing now, because you never know what might lead us to our goal. Our goal of turning this trial around. Understood, Kazuma. After a while, the accused came over to greet the professor, and they got into a fierce argument.
Yes!
Oh, I wasn't going to read those again. I never got into an argument with the professor. All I did when I noticed him was go over to say hello. Please, don't get angry with me. No, I wasn't directing that retort at you. It was meant for the lady next to you. But anyway, as I said, I did not argue with the professor. I'm afraid your words are in vain. Sorry? Miss Brett does not appear to speak Japanese. No, of course not. Japanese is such a cumbersome language anyway. English is the future. We must all supiku Ingerishu. I wonder if the prosecution will feel that way forever, or only in the presence of a beautiful woman, Well, that beautiful woman is telling blatant lies with a completely straight face. I have to find something that will unravel her testimony, no matter how seemingly insignificant it may be. Ah, man, gotta love Ingershu. Anyway, it seems that after the argument, the accused briefly returned to his own seat. That part ties in with what you said, doesn't it? Yes, I still had some coffee to drink. And the next time you got up after that was when I had finished my coffee and stood up to leave. Then, not long afterward, the accused took the professor's gun and shot him right before my eyes.
Yes!
Like I said, I did not shoot that gun. And like I said, there's no point repeating that assertion over and over. Well, I wasn't expecting to be attacked by my own side. Nevertheless, defendant, you can't deny that when the shot rang out in the restaurant, you had a gun in your hand. Well, yes, that's true, but all I did was pick up the gun I saw on the floor next to the professor as I was leaving the restaurant. In fact, yes, there was someone much closer to the victim than me at that time. Highly That will do, you dirty, rotten scoundrel. Dirty? Your baseless accusations could very well cause an international incident, boy. Seems to me that your accusation is just as baseless as ours.
What nonsense.
The lady is merely stating what she saw. And this is already an international incident as far as I'm concerned anyway. I don't carry a gun myself, so obviously I couldn't have been the culprit.
Yes!
It's all very well saying that, but can you prove it? Absolutely. I verified it personally. You verified it? Yes. Immediately after the incident, I checked to make sure the lady was not carrying a weapon. I distinctly remember her saying, "I'm not." That's all you did? You just asked her? Surely you carried out a physical search, Inspector. No. Why on earth not? The Honorable English Gentlewoman clearly stated that she did not possess a weapon. There was obviously no need for any further probing into the matter. Or there was no permission given for any further probing into the matter, perhaps.
Think what you will, but if you're going to continue with this preposterous claim that the refined lady was concealing a firearm, the prosecution demands that you support your assertion with facts.
In other words, he wants evidence. Ugh.
Fish and chips. Blimey.
The lady wishes to point out that of course she wanted to stay and assist with the investigation, but she was in a hurry to give a presentation at the university, so she was compelled to leave. Not to mention the fact that your office had told you to get the woman out of there. Not get her out of there. I just urged her to leave. The lady would like to point out that she in no way meant to run away from the scene of the crime, which is why she is only too happy to cooperate and testify here in court today, of course.
Unlike a certain student who refuses to admit when the game is up. You could at least have the courtesy to pay attention when I'm goading you.
So, she's maintaining that you got into an argument with the professor, at the end of which you shot him. Which is an out-and-out, totally unfounded lie. Still, her statement is very compelling. After all, she's an elegant, refined, young and beautiful gentlewoman from Great Britain. In stark contrast to you, dressed from head to toe in a dull black school uniform.
I'm dressed exactly the same way as you are, except for the flapping red ribbons.
Well, anyway, this is our only chance to expose her testimony as the fiction that it is. If we can't do that, the trial's over. Even you with your thick skin must be able to feel the murderous looks you're getting from around the room. Only too well. I feel half dead already. And the fact that I can't see a single inconsistency in her testimony isn't making me feel any better either. First thing to do is press her on any of her statements that seem even slightly off to you. Do that, and an opening will present itself, I promise you. I need to expose the true face of this exotic foreigner that's hiding behind the mask. That's what I should be aiming for in this cross-examination. Alright. Oop. That's not what I want to present at. Okay, so I'm pretty sure there's only one glass of water at this table here, so I'm pretty sure this is what I need to present. Because how's that going to happen when our detective friend says that there's 2 glasses of water? Nope. I want to present, please.
Yes.
There we go. That's it. Let me just confirm something, please. It's to do with this photographic print. Just a short while ago, you spoke of this print showing the victim's table at the crime scene. That it was exactly as it was left. That is correct, the lady says. Well, it's odd. Very odd.
Dear me, what's odd is the defense's inability to express itself.
Ugh. Ryunosuke, what is it about the print that looks so odd to you? Well, obviously it's the cheers. The cheers. Miss Brett just told us that she and the professor had cheers over a glass of water. But if that's true, there should be 2 glasses on the table, not 1. Oh. You're quite right, counsel. There's only 1 glass pictured here.
Objection! Are we supposed to be impressed by this nitpicking over minutia? What possible difference does the presence or absence of a glass make on the case?
Objection!
Minutia, you say? Could it be that the detective here removed a glass from the table to conceal the lady's presence? Of course not. I would never do something so reckless. But there should have been 2 glasses on the table. Or are you going to try to tell me you can clink with only 1? 1 glass clinking. You're quite right. I certainly took 2 glasses to the table. Ah, cool blimey, love. That's not good at all. Inspector, what did the lady say? It would seem that it was Miss Brett who took the glass from the table. What? It was all so terrifying, everything that happened. I panicked and thought I should try to hide the fact that I had been there at all, she's saying. Good gracious! To have the presence of mind to think that at the scene of a murder? Sus.
Sorry. There, as I assured the court before, this is of no consequence at all.
Oh, please.
We must remember that this student had just murdered this lady's luncheon companion before her very eyes. Who could blame her for concealing a glass or two in her state of disarray?
That's absurd!
Oh, really? So do we take it that now you are going to accuse this vulnerable, young, and beautiful woman of mischief?
What? No. This can't be put down to mischief. I'd like to know exactly how the lady took the glass from the scene. Cool, blimey. Daddy-o, cheerio, tip-tip, pa-blah-blah. That's not British at all. It would seem that she slipped it into a small handbag she was carrying. A handbag, you say? Yes, Your Excellency. A small, handheld pouch commonly carried by well-to-do women in England. Japan has not learned the meaning of femme fatale. Nope. And also, having a handbag means she has the perfect place to hide a weapon.
So the beautiful lady has very graciously explained how and why she removed the glass from the scene now. However, the fact remains that this glass has absolutely no bearing on the case.
Oh, you see something coming, Grumpy?
This student has been trying to confuse the court with logical reasoning, but in the end, it comes to nothing.
Hey, screw you, Ouchie. Logical reasoning is a fact of life.
No more pretentious accusations. You have wasted enough time already.
Indeed, the lady has offered a satisfactory explanation as to why she removed this glass. I know, right? I think henceforth we can consider the matter to have no bearing on the case. Counsel for the defense, are you in agreement?
Well, I don't know, really.
If you want to pursue this matter further, you're going to need to show that it has some deeper significance.
Yes, you're right. So, she took the glass away in her handbag. If there's deeper significance there, it's... well, it's the handbag, is it not? At least that's what I think. I'm gonna save because I'm not, like, 100% sure. Because part of me still thinks, hey, it could be poison. But no, the postmortem report clearly says... well, actually, postmortem report's not an autopsy report. And because it's not an autopsy report, we don't know if he actually died from the gunshot or if he died from something in the glass. Because, for some reason, me suspects poison, and then the gunshot afterwards is like a red herring. I don't know. Let me say the handbag. Wait, the lady put the glass in her handbag, you say? Yes, do try to keep up. It's already been explained to the court that all English gentlewomen carry handbags for small items. Let me see. A little while ago, Miss Brett stated the following. There are no pockets in my outfit. I have nowhere to hide a gun. But what she forgot to mention was her handbag, in which it would be perfectly possible to conceal a gun. You're right. Well done, partner. I had a feeling you'd pick up on that too. What are you insinuating, you vile blackguard? It's really very simple.
The gunshot was heard when the defendant picked up the gun from the restaurant floor. As he didn't fire that gun, we can deduce that there must have been another firearm at the scene. The true murder weapon, if you will.
You can't seriously be suggesting...
Inspector Hosonaga. Yes. Did you or did you not search Miss Giselle Brett's handbag on the day of the murder? No, sir. I did not. As I thought. In other words, another gun, the one that was actually used to kill the professor, could have been hidden in Miss Brett's handbag.
No!
Order! Order! Order!
What is the meaning of this, Inspector?
The meaning of what, Professor Ouchie?
Why on earth did you not have the lady open her handbag and show you the contents at the time? Thanks to your bungling incompetence, now she has to endure these uncomfortable accusations.
Brilliant work, partner. Now we have a chance to expose the real woman behind the mask. Do you think so, Kazuma? I'm a shapeshifter in this masquerade. Well, what a sorry situation. Clearly you have no faith in the police. Huh? As I said, I did not search the lady's handbag after the shooting. Simply because it was unnecessary. Unnecessary in what way? I have to thank the student lawyer, really. I have a piece of evidence here that I had completely forgotten about. This photographic print. This print is of a photograph that I thought would be prudent to take immediately after the shooting. As you can see, it clearly shows Miss Brett's handbag. And also the victim's hand, from the looks of it. That's one weird birthmark, I gotta say. Well, I never! You can see right through to what's inside. Yeah, you can't conceal a weapon in that, that's for sure. It's because it's, like, made of, like, beads or something. So, these beads are on the outside. I don't have cursor on, so you can't, like, see me floating around it. But it's like a see-through bag. And also, there's this, weird, like, birthmark on the guy's arm. It kind of looks like a brand, if I'm being honest. I'm not sure what that is exactly. That's right. Apparently, meshwork bags like these are the height of fashion in London at the moment. Yeah, it kind of looks like a bullhead, actually. So the contents are clearly visible. Exactly. So there was no need to search the lady's handbag. If there had been a gun inside, it would have been immediately obvious. Ugh! As you can see, there's nothing to imply Miss Brett's guilt here. Thank you for helping to prove that, Naruhodo-san. That's a great animation. Order! Order. Inspector Hosonaga, you will submit that print as evidence at once. Certainly, Your Excellency. The photograph of the handbag has been entered into the court record. I think you've had long enough to cross-examine the witness counsel. Alright, I want to check out this print a little closer. So yeah, we can clearly see the handbag. But yeah, this looks like a bull's head. How does that get on your... I don't know, but it's very suspicious. Anyway. Real baseball fan there. Strike two! The court has now been shown considerable evidence. As the photographic print just submitted into the court record appears to have no further significance,
I am satisfied that there is no longer any room for doubt in this matter. Flanker, take care. Enjoy your dinner.
Indeed. And there's only one logical conclusion. That the pathetic rookie slumped over the bench before us is the only possible perpetrator of this crime.
No. Just when I thought I was beginning to turn things around. I'm in a worse situation than I was at the start. Kazuma? I'm sorry, Ryunosuke. Now that the cross-examination of the witness is over, there's no way to force the trial to continue.
What? You mean this is it? I must say, you put up quite a fight for a rookie student. But the weak are meat, while the strong eat. You are wasting your time. There's no way to defeat true justice. A fact you can chew on to your heart's content from the inside of your cell.
This can't be happening. Am I really going to be found guilty of a crime that I didn't commit? And Kazuma, his dream of going to study in Great Britain will slip through his fingers. Kazuma? What? Is there really no chance of turning this trial around? You heard the judge. There's nothing about that last photograph the detective produced that we can contest. You came in a bit less yesterday. Our protagonist is not, in fact, a law student. He's studying at the university for something else. Kazuma is a law student, but due to circumstances, we could not let him take the stand in this case, and we have to defend ourselves. So, that's where we're at now. But also, the statement's just not true. There's nothing about the last photograph the detective produced that we can contest? Sure there is. Grasping at straws is what defense lawyers do. Which means there's no basis on which we can argue for the trial to continue. Very well. I will now proceed immediately to the ruling.
It seems we will be able to report to the British government on time after all.
That smug little Ryunosuke Naruhodo, having considered all of the evidence placed before me, yes! I hereby find you Wait, Your Excellency. Ryunosuke? I don't think you can rule on this case yet.
This amateurishness is getting tedious. When His Excellency deems that the trial is over, he gives his ruling. That is the most basic protocol of the courtroom. Yes.
Your Excellency, just a moment ago you said this. As the photographic print just submitted appears to have no further significance, there is no longer any room for doubt in this matter, and I must make my ruling. Yes, as you agree? Yeah, that should totally be objection. Or hold it. Now, that means if there was a problem with the evidence, some significant detail, I mean, then ruling on the case at this time would be out of the question.
Objection! This is blatant straw clutching. Look at this photographic print. All it shows is the handbag the gentlewoman was carrying on the day in question. There can be no problem with this evidence.
You better know what you're doing, Ryunosuke. I understand your objection, counsel. Certainly, the new evidence submitted by the detective has not undergone the court's scrutiny. However, I fail to see in how we can glean any new information from this handbag.
Ha! My thoughts exactly. Really, the prosecution is becoming tired of this rookie's desperate wheezes.
Yes, I'm desperate, but this isn't a wheeze. There's something about this photograph which just doesn't seem right. If only I could put my finger on it. Very well. I will grant the defense one final opportunity.
What?
But be warned that if I am unsatisfied by your response here, the trial will be over with immediate effect. Do I make myself clear? Yes, Your Excellency. So, Take another look at the photographic print Inspector Hosonaga submitted before. You will identify for the court where in this print we see the significant details to which you have alluded. I'm pretty sure it's this, but I'm going to save first.
Yes!
Look at this here. Oh, the music didn't change. This very unusual mark on the victim's wrist. That is true. It looks almost like a burn of some description.
Objection!
Dear me, I was pondering what new piffle you would come out with. A burn, you say? On the victim's wrist? Clearly that has nothing whatsoever to do with the magnificent lady's handbag.
Yes, that is a burn mark. You're right. Go on, Inspector. The police coroner also noticed it when he was performing the post-mortem examination. It was deemed unrelated to the cause of death, so he didn't note it in his report.
What did I tell you? In any case, we have no idea when the victim suffered this burn, do we? And no possible way of knowing either.
The more I look at it, the more I find myself intrigued by the curious shape of this mark. However, as Prosecutor Aoshi points out, unless a firm connection to the case can be shown, I cannot allow any further time to be spent on the precise details of this burn. Excuse me, Your Excellency. It would seem Miss Brett has a lunch appointment with the Dean and other university staff. She would like to know if she may be excused from the stand now.
Oh, of course, dear lady. We shan't hold you up any longer. I'm quite sure His Excellency is about to give his final ruling anyway.
What's your thinking on this, Ryunosuke? Do you believe this burn does have something to do with the case? To be honest, I'm not really sure. But if I don't keep pushing, then it's all over. So I was thinking I should keep digging and digging, in the hope that I might uncover something useful. Yes, you're right.
I am?
If we can just link that burn to the case. If we can do that, we might be able to prise this shuttling door back open again.
Just give up, Counsel. You can't possibly hope to do that.
Indeed. I'm afraid that without evidence, I can't allow you to pursue what is little more than conjecture. But if we had evidence? Evidence that irrefutably linked the burn on the victim's wrist to the case? Then you would allow it? I would, yes. To tell the truth, I hadn't noticed that burn. But as soon as you pointed it out, what I did notice was the color draining from Miss Brett's face. Really? I have to find some link between that burn and the case. This is the moment of truth. It's time to find some evidence that proves what that burn really means. So then, the defense will now present its evidence to the court. The evidence that demonstrates an inextricable connection between the victim's burn and this trial. Alright. Gotta use our brains here. So. The evidence we have available to us is this, which is definitely not it. The post-mortem report. Loss of blood from a gunshot wound to the chest. The bullet did not pass through the victim's body. This is a photograph of the victim. There's scorch marks by his wound here, which I feel like might be the relevant thing. This is the business card that shows the scene of the crime at the time. This is where the victim died, and apparently he got shot from here. This is the crime scene photograph. But, oh. his burn came from the hot plate. That has to be it, right? Alright, I'm going to present this. I'm going to see what happens.
Yes!
What's this, Counsel? Yet another print. Yes, Your Excellency. I believe photographic prints are an amazing invention. When we humans look at a scene, we miss things. But in a photograph, things we may have overlooked at the time are recorded forevermore.
Do hurry up, rookie. What are you trying to say? To inconvenience this poor lady any further really would be quite inexcusable.
Actually, we may need you to stay with us a little longer, if you don't mind, Miss Brett. You see, it's very clearly visible in this other photograph. How did the victim come to have that unusually shaped burn on his wrist? The reason is recorded here forevermore. What? How?
You can't fool me with your little bluffs, boy. If that's your game, then let's see how it plays out. Show the court exactly what you mean. What is it in this photograph that explains the reason for the victim's burn? Yes! The beefsteak?
Actually, the point is the metal plate the steak was served on. The plate?
Oh! Your Excellency, are you alright?
As you can see, there's an emblem on the plate. I would guess it's some sort of trademark of Le Carnival. This emblem on the plate. And the victim's burn are exactly the same shape.
Ah!
Ryunosuke, you genius! You're spot on. Which means the victim must have suffered this burn while he was present at the restaurant.
But even if that is the case, we can't know if it happened on the day in question or not. It could have been the day before, or the day before that. It most likely happened at some other unrelated time.
Well, Objection! Sadly, Prosecutor Ouchie, the chances of that are extremely slim. Thanks.
Why?
The outline of the burn is clearly discernible. Such a serious injury would have caused quite a commotion in the restaurant. Wouldn't you agree, Inspector Hosonaga? I can't imagine having missed such a terrible disaster, certainly.
But...
I would say, looking at the picture of the wound, that it wasn't suffered very long ago. And, although it's not a particularly large burn, it's extremely well defined, as the defense just pointed out. This was no mild burn, that's for sure. Can you be more specific, Inspector? Well, let's see. If the plate was at around 90 degrees centigrade, a burn like that would have taken around 3 seconds. It's inconceivable that the victim wouldn't have let out a scream of pain then. I've been investigating at the restaurant for several weeks already, but I've not heard anyone scream at all. As the head waiter of Le Carnival, I can testify to that without hesitation.
But you're a detective, not a waiter! Yes!
There you have it. Something isn't right here. As the detective said, anyone who burnt themselves on a piping hot plate for 3 whole seconds would scream in pain. There's no question of that. And yet Inspector Hosonaga never heard the professor scream. Not on that day, or any before it. That's right. And the strange thing is, on the day he was shot, I didn't hear him cry out either. What are you suggesting? Well, if If the professor had carelessly laid his wrist on the plate for anything like 3 seconds that day, that would be beyond careless, I think, counsel. Then the rest of us in the restaurant, myself, the sergeant, and the old antiques dealer, all of us would, without any question, have heard him scream. Wouldn't you agree, Prosecutor Ouchie?
Well, yes, I suppose.
So the question is, why didn't a single person hear Dr. Wilson scream?
Huh?
I almost don't believe it. Ryunosuke, do you think... Can it really be true? I never dreamt we'd arrive at a conclusion like this, but... I'm starting to think that maybe... we've been led into a terrible trap. Yep. My suspicion of poison might actually be right on the mark. There's only one explanation I can think of to make some sense of this apparent impossibility. On the day in question, when he suffered the burn to his wrist, Dr. Wilson hadn't noticed the burn, was asleep. Nah. He was already dead.
Oi moi moi, mo shinderu.
I can't do the Kenshiro atatatata. It's just too high a pitch for me.
Nani?
No man could remain silent while his wrist was burning on a piping hot plate for 3 whole seconds. That's clearly impossible. Apart from one in particular situation. Counsel, are you suggesting? Yes, it's only possible if the man was already dead.
Already dead?
Knowing what we know now, it's the only possible explanation. When the beefsteak was brought to Dr. Wilson's table that day, the professor was already dead.
That's madness!
Order! Order! Order, please! Counsel, explain this absurd notion at once. The victim was killed by a gunshot.
That's right. That's absolutely right, Your Excellency. This is just another ridiculous ploy by the rookie student, but clearly has no grasp of the facts.
Objection!
No, Prosecutor Ouchie. It is you who has no grasp of the facts.
I beg your pardon?
As soon as it became apparent that the victim had suffered that burn while at the restaurant, this whole case was turned upside down. Or have you not grasped that yet? Your Excellency, the court must hear from this witness again. If it's true, as we now believe, the victim was already dead before the gunshot was heard, it's highly likely that Miss Brett knows something about it. Incredible. I certainly didn't anticipate this twist of events. I'm sorry to say, Miss Brett, that you will have to forget your luncheon engagement.
But, Your Excellency...
The justice system in our country may be in its infancy, but rest assured, all reasonable doubt must be dispelled before I am prepared to pass judgment. Thank you, Your Excellency. What was that smile?
Yes, of course. I mean, I'd be delighted to help. Especially if it helps relations between my country and yours. Miss Brett, you speak Japanese? Well, of course I do. I am studying in your country after all.
But then, why have you been speaking through an interpreter until now?
My mother tongue, the Queen's English, is the most refined and elegant language in the world. As a gentlewoman, I try to avoid speaking in your vulgar tones as much as possible.
Wow, rude.
But it seems the men in this land possess none of the chivalrous virtues of English gentlemen. So I can see that I shall have to lower myself to communicating with you all on your own level.
Yep, she's definitely British, alright.
Well, you are the epitome of a true English gentlewoman. We are truly honored by this lavish consideration you so graciously afford us.
Simp. I see. In that case, Miss Brett, I will now ask you to testify in your own words about the events leading up to the death of the victim, Dr. Wilson. So, we're finally going to hear her own words on the matter. Things are getting interesting, Ryunosuke. They certainly are. Ow. Alright. I just had a stretch. Maybe I should get like a posture check one.
Whew.
The victim's death.
Unfortunately, I have no idea when that poor man burnt his wrist like that. When the waiter brought my steak, the professor and I raised our glasses in a toast. As far as I've heard, the post-mortem report showed no other possible cause of death besides the gunshot. If there's some other way a man's life can be taken without leaving a trace, please do show me. But of course, this country's inferior investigative techniques probably wouldn't pick up on it anyway.
So yeah, I kind of gave her the Frieza voice. I don't know how it happened. I was going for British, but it ended up Frieza, and I just kind of just stayed there. That was the most captivating and beautiful That most captivating and beautiful testimony will go down in the Supreme Court's history. Thank you. Easy does it.
I hope that is the last time I will have to sully my lips with the coarse tones of your unbecoming tongue.
Dang, we're all simps.
Oh, forgive me. I do hope I haven't insulted anyone.
God, what a bitch.
Not at all, not at all. It is a delight merely to hear you speak, dear lady. And it seems very clear from your testimony that this boorish talk of the victim's burn is utterly irrelevant. I will be speaking to your country's Minister of Justice about what has happened here today.
Stuff like this is what led to World War II, lady. Yep.
The Minister of Justice? May that irritating little bully of a student be given the harshest punishment possible. Amen.
Huh? Thanks? What? Was that a prayer then? Well, you'll have to forgive the irritation, Miss Brett, and put up with a cross-examination now. I expect you've noticed that this little bully of a student, as you put it, doesn't miss much. I'm sure I don't need to remind you, counsel, but this will be your final cross-examination in this trial. If you fail to demonstrate any problems with this witness's testimony, I will be ruling on the case immediately. Is that clear? Ah, damn. Slapping himself to psych himself up. Yes, Your Excellency. Then you may proceed with the cross-examination. The victim's death. Alright, I'm gonna make a save here. Alright, let's get pressing.
Yes!
But his hand was on the searing hot plate for at least 3 whole seconds. You can't not have noticed.
Do you think so? Let me ask you something.
Sorry?
Ever since I arrived at this courtroom, and even still now, the fly on those unsightly black trousers of yours has been wide open. You can't not have noticed, can you?
Huh? What? Ah! Rip.
Haha, what fun! You hadn't realized. The dear lady is absolutely right.
As your friend, you've embarrassed me as well as yourself, Ryunosuke.
Why didn't you tell me? Dr. Wilson was a true English gentleman. He chose honorable silence over a vulgar scream. Can your tiny brains imagine such a thing?
Oh yes, I think my tiny brain can.
Yes!
Well, I can't.
Anyway.
Ouchie, please, you're such a simp. Oh my god.
Yes!
As you testified before, you were drinking carbonated water. Is that right?
Dr. Wilson was only permitted to drink water at that time, if you remember. Which explains why he ordered that drink. Correct, waiter?
Exactly as you say, sir. Although... Whether or not the professor actually drank any of the water when I delivered the steak to the table, I'm afraid I don't remember that.
Damn you. Ah, I have enough English to understand that at least. For the benefit of the others in the court, it means, bless you.
I think it means the exact opposite.
Anyway. As far as I've heard, the post-mortem report showed no other possible cause of death besides the gunshot.
Yes! Yes, it's written here in the paperwork. Fatal hemorrhage from ballistic trauma.
Yes. Luckily for all of us, a little burn on the wrist isn't going to kill us. And as there were no other signs of trauma on the victim's body to indicate some other cause of death, it can only have been the bullet from your gun that put an end to this innocent man's life.
But it doesn't make sense. The burn must have happened straight away, when the plate was first brought to the table by the waiter. Yes, that's true. If it had cooled even slightly, it wouldn't have been able to make a burn like that. And if the victim burnt his wrist on the hot plate as soon as it was brought out from the kitchen, then he must have already been dead at that point.
And yet, the fact is that the victim was killed by a gunshot to the chest. Until you're able to show the court evidence to disprove that, this is a complete waste of time.
I concur. Professor Ouchie is right.
Ah.
That reaction's interesting, though.
If there is some other way a man's life can be taken without leaving a trace, please do show me.
Without leaving a trace?
If someone is shot, or strangled, or stabbed, or thrown from a height. However a person's life is taken, there are always telltale traces on the body. Quite right, dear lady. And as our police force has thoroughly examined the body of the deceased, there can be no doubt. Isn't that right, Inspector Hosonaga?
As I've said, I always aim for a flawless investigation. There would be physical traces with all those causes of death, that's true. But maybe there's some other way of killing someone that doesn't leave a mark. Poison? Poison?
If heaven forbid you doubt me, young man, you're going to have to tell everyone how exactly you think the professor did lose his life. Otherwise, I'm afraid your argument falls rather flat, doesn't it?
Yep. Poison on the glass is what I'm thinking, for sure.
Oh no, perish the thought. Calling such a sweet young lady's innocence into question. On my honor, I, Takatsuchi Ouchi, will cut down any who dare cast such aspersions.
way of killing someone that leaves no trace. We need some evidence to back us up here. Yes, evidence. But of course, this country's inferior investigative techniques probably wouldn't pick up on it anyway. Okay, now she's just taunting us. Like, I'm not presenting anything. Oh, I thought I could go to characters from here. But I can't. Okay.
Yes!
Inferior? What do you mean by that?
In the lands of the great British Empire, the police store everything found at a crime scene for later examination. But in this country, you investigate once, and that's the end of it. Isn't that so? Quite right. Le Carnival is open for business as usual today, just days after the incident. Exactly. Which means that even if the investigation takes a different direction, vital evidence may be lost.
Okay, they really are drawing attention to that reaction.
It doesn't even occur to you naive detectives to try and preserve the crime scene. I'm trying to be as tactful about this as I can, you understand. A killer blow! The lady is as formidable as she is beautiful.
Amazing. He's actually admitting our police may be flawed. Perhaps Prosecutor Ouchie is finally starting to see sense. I very much doubt that. Still, there's something about what Miss Brett just said. There was a moment before when something didn't seem quite right. What do you think, Ryunosuke? I think it's going terribly. No matter how much I press her, I'm not turning up any new information. Yes, as I suspected, she's a tough witness. We need to find a way to break her testimony, or the cross-examination will be over. But that would mean I have to find a way. There must be some clue somewhere to help us find a chink in her armor. Kazuma. What, Ryunosuke? There's one thing that I noticed. Something that's been bothering me. Bothering you? You mean about Miss Brett? Actually, no. It's about the person standing next to her. Inspector Hosonaga. The detective. Yes, he seemed to react a little strangely to Miss Brett's last statement. I was wondering if it might be significant. If it might present an opening, maybe. Alright, I have an idea. Try pressing her on that last statement one more time. If you think so, but this time, instead of targeting the woman herself, let's see what we can get out of the detective. Alright then. I wonder what Kazuma's thinking. I'll find out soon enough, I suppose, once I press Miss Brett on her last statement again. Alright.
Yes!
Am I just getting the same scene?
Wait.
Which means even if the investigation takes a different direction, vital evidence may be lost.
Yes, there it is again. The detective's reaction is just the same as before. Why?
Up until now, the detective has been in the stand with Miss Brett as her interpreter. But things are very different now. For this testimony, the detective is just listening to what the Englishwoman has to say. This could be a golden opportunity.
What do you mean?
When people are actually testifying, they're usually very careful not to let anything slip. However, when they're listening to someone else speak, you'll find they often let their guard down.
You're right. Look at him. He's lost in his own thoughts. It's time to pursue the man and his train of thoughts. Sorry, pursue. I'll explain how to do it now, Ryunosuke. It's all to do with the witness marker. What marker? At the moment, we're focused on Miss Brett, who the person actually is making the current statement. Oh shit, they're introducing new mechanics. But by moving the marker left and right with the left and right arrow keys, you can turn your attention to others in the stand. While you're looking at the other witnesses, you'll be able to pursue them with A. If you can catch the person at just the right time, you might uncover some new information to pursue. If you ever notice a strange atmosphere amongst the people on the stand, take a good look around. Alright then, so first I should move the marker across with the arrow keys and focus on the detective. Then pursue him with A and see what's on his mind. Here we go.
Wait.
All right, let me look around. All right. There we go. Let us pursue this. Excuse me. Yeah. What the? What's the meaning of this? I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to shock you. He really was lost in his thoughts. Deeply. It looked like you were thinking something just now, Inspector. Perhaps having heard what the lady next to you had to say. If there's something you'd like to say, please, share it with the court.
Objection!
What is the meaning of this?
It's the delightful Englishwoman who's been testifying at the moment. If you can't find fault with their testimony, then the cross-examination should be over. Immediately.
Oh, is that how it works? Absolutely not.
Hmm?
The detective is in the stand, which makes him a valid witness. Yes, not to mention the fact that he's intimately involved in the case. Inspector Hosonaga. Yes. Do you have something to add in relation to the statement just made by Miss Brett? Well, yes. If you don't mind, I would like to speak. The lady is right. Our country's police practices are not as modern as those used in Great Britain. Which is why I, Satoru Hosonaga, always strive to make every investigation I'm involved in flawless. What do you really mean by that? I'll tell you what I mean. I won't have evidence lacking on my watch. I'm not afraid to take everything I can from the scene of the crime. It's preserving evidence, you see. I don't care if they call me a crime scene thief. I'm not ashamed of what I've done. A crime scene thief? Well, it looks like the lady's remarks touched a nerve there. Take this, for example. Is that? This is the bottle of carbonated water that I took to the victim's table on the day in question. And yes, it's lost all of its fizz, having been opened 3 days ago now. Ooh, excuse me. But it was carbonated water. I don't care what anyone says. Yes, there's some left in the bottle. I can see it. One day our police force will be among the best in the world. The time is coming. I guarantee it. I can't say I condone the witness's actions, but I do understand the sentiment. The court will accept the glass bottle of water as evidence. Ooh, evidence. This is our poison. Miss Brett. Can you confirm this is indeed the bottle from which you drank on the day of the victim's death? Yes, it was that bottle. Sounds more like he's annoyed they called his waitering skills into question. Kinda, yeah. What was that about? She seemed to avert her eyes when she answered the judge's question. Very well. Counsel, you may resume the cross-examination. And the inspector will kindly control his fervor. Ugh. Alright. So, now I am pretty sure that I present the bottle here. But before we do that, I want to examine it a little bit closer. The label is written in a foreign language that I don't recognize. Do you know what it says, Kazuma? I think it's French. This must be very expensive water. Yes, but what does it say? That's what I was asking. Then go to France and ask. You could just say that you don't know. So, this carbonated water is the last drink Dr. Wilson ever had. It looks like there's a little left in the bottle, although it's just plain water now. You know, I've been sweating so much, I'm absolutely parched. I'll just have a sip of this to keep me going. No, Ryunosuke, you can't do that. For one thing, that's evidence. You can't go drinking evidence. Oh, no, you're right. We don't know what might be inside, do we? You never cease to amaze me, Ryunosuke, in more ways than one. I wonder, could there be anything in this water? What's the matter? You've gone quiet all of a sudden. I think I might have just worked something out. An interesting possibility. Alright. Now I feel more confident about presenting here. But I'm still gonna save first. Always save before you present. Takes no time.
Yes!
What is this? The bottle of water? Actually, there is one method of killing a man without leaving a trace that comes to mind. Obviously, I'm referring to poison. Poison? On the day of his death, we know that Dr. Wilson drank from this bottle of carbonated water. Could it be that there was poison inside? Of course, the woman's weapon. Yup. Could it be that the professor actually died after taking a sip from his glass? Order! 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 And on that day, who was sitting at the same table as the professor and able to slip the poison into his drink? There's only one person who could have possibly done it. Giselle Brett! It was you!
Objection!
This is outrageous! To suggest such a thing without a scrap of evidence. You little rookie imbecile! Have you even considered the delicate situation our country finds itself in now? Have you forgotten that we've only just signed an accord of friendship with the British Empire? Have you even the vaguest inkling that your rash accusations could jeopardize the entire treaty?
Objection!
This is not a political arena. This is a trial to determine one's individual's guilt with respect to one crime. What? The fact that this woman is British makes no difference. We are here to determine the truth. If I may, I will silence you forever for this disgrace. Ooh. It is you who should be silent. Of course. Dear lady. Where did that come from? She just snapped. I'm afraid I may have spoken unfairly before. I offer my most humble apologies. I'm sorry, my lady. To what are you referring? I described your police force as inferior. But no matter how inferior they may be,
You still investigated this particular point thoroughly, I believe. The bottle, I mean, Inspector, and whether it contained poison or not.
Of course. You did? Have you forgotten what my guiding principle is already? I strive for a flawless investigation every time. I don't believe it. Naturally, we tested the inside of the bottle and its contents. Sorry, I clicked a little fast there. And? What did you find, Inspector? I order tests for every toxin that's available in this country at the present time. We could find no trace of poison or of any description in the bottle of carbonated water, Your Excellency. What? Are you sure? The tests were meticulously carried out by the chief coroner himself. No! No! Yeah, check the glass.
I'm very grateful to all you Japanese. You've successfully established my complete innocence in this horrid affair. Thank you. But of course, dear lady, the pleasure was all ours.
I was so sure. This can't be right. Everything falls into place if he was poisoned. Thank you, Counsel. I think that cross-examination has clarified everything. As the prosecution have asserted, a shot to the chest from this gun is the only conceivable cause of death. Furthermore, the accused, who by his own admission was holding the weapon, is the only possible culprit. I'm done for. The court wishes to apologize for the great inconvenience this has caused you, Miss Brett.
Oh no, I'm just glad that the matter is resolved.
Before proceeding, I must ask the counsel for the defense. Do you have any further new evidence to present to the court at this point? Kazuma? I'm sorry, Ryunosuke. I have nothing more.
Well, if you'll excuse me now, I really must be leaving.
Oh shit.
Please, wait. Isn't that...
What is the meaning of this?
Forgive me for intruding on court proceedings, Your Excellency. Susato Mikotoba, Judicial Assistant to the Defense.
Mikotoba? In my darkest hour, with nowhere left to go, she appeared like a bolt of lightning. Yeah, since when? And in her hand, she carried a small package, wrapped in a furoshiki cloth. To be continued. Like hell I'm stopping here. Yeah, I'm not cliffhangering you guys. I gotta see this trial to the end. Didn't think they were giving me a third part to this trial, but I guess we're going crazy like that. 1:14 p.m. Supreme Court of Judiciary Courtroom 2. Well, I understand that you're the judicial assistant to the defense. Why this sudden ingress into my courtroom?
Ha! A judicial assistant, and a woman no less. The rules state that females are not permitted in this court of law other than to testify.
Yips. This is a pretty lengthy trial for the first one. I can't remember the first trial in Phoenix games being quite this involved. Yeah, I don't really think any of them were. Maybe the one in Trials and Tribulations, the third game. Because that one is kind of like why Phoenix wanted to be a lawyer in the first place.
Yes, I fully understand. I asked for only 5 minutes of time. I have some vital evidence that I must hand over to the defense. Ha! You're too late, little girl. This trial has already been concluded.
5 minutes. I will not allow a moment more.
But, Your Excellency!
I am most grateful. Who exactly are you? I'm sorry, there's no time. Please, simply accept this for now. What is it? A report about something? Written in English. It's Giselle Brett's research. The Englishwoman's? After the trial resumed earlier, I hurried back to the university. I went to Dr. Wilson's laboratory in the medical faculty and borrowed this paper. Oh, yes, that's right. Miss Brett was studying under the professor, wasn't she? Borrowed, yep. So, does this research, whatever it is, have something to do with the case? I'm afraid I don't know. I haven't been able to listen to the proceedings of the trial myself. Oh. No, of course not. Special characteristics of curare and its effect on human subjects. Interesting. Curare? What's that? I've never heard that word before.
Time's up. The prosecution demands the immediate removal of this female trespasser from the courtroom.
There was too little time for me to read it in detail, but I've summarized what I could on a note just inside the cover. If you think it could be valuable, please cast your eye over it. This is wonderful. Thank you. Giselle's report has been entered into the court record. Goodbye, then, and good luck. Alright, let's check out this report. A poison made from the bark of certain trees in the jungle of South America. The hunters of the region have used it since ancient times to incapacitate their prey. The effects are instant paralysis of the entire body and subsequent death, even in minute doses. Route of entry. The above-mentioned effects only occurs when the poison enters the body through a wound, such as that inflicted by a blowpipe dart. Due to its ability to render the human body paralytic, it is believed that the toxin could have application as an anesthetic. However, a solution for the respiratory arrest caused by a result of the full body paralysis must be found first, or patients would die of suffocation. So, well, that seals it, doesn't it? However, he ingested the curare, so... Okay. Yeah, no, this still works. It's not supposed to affect you if you ingest it, but... our buddy just went to the dentist, and as such, he has an open wound in his mouth. You have had long enough, Counsel. We cannot detain our English guest any longer. I ask the prosecution and defense now, one last time. Does either side have any further evidence to present to the court? I presume not, but...
The prosecution has made its case convincingly enough already. Nothing more to add, Your Excellency.
Ryunosuke, we're out of options here. This really is our very last chance. Yes, I know. Your Excellency, the defense does have new evidence. That look. The unyielding stare of a true Japanese warrior. Well, Miss Brett?
Yes, Your Excellency.
If you wouldn't mind, perhaps you could grace us with your presence a little longer.
It's a delightful invitation, but I'm afraid it's not so very long until tea time. I'll have to politely decline.
Forgive me, Miss Brett. It seems I wasn't clear. I realized it was phrased as a question. However, I must ask you to treat that as an order.
I've said it many times before, but the Japanese language makes no sense.
My apologies, dear lady. So, Counsel, what is this new evidence that demands the court's attention? I mean,
this is it, right? Like, this isn't a trick question. They aren't like, haha, you're actually supposed to present the glass now. No, I wanna present. I gotta stop pressing A on it. Mr. Zale Brett, we understand you were studying under Dr. Wilson at Yume University, doing research. Research, by sheer coincidence perhaps, into a deadly poison.
What?
Poison? Where are you going with this, Counsel? A toxin known as curare, Your Excellency. Even the slightest amount of this deadly poison entering the body leads to instant death.
Objection! What? What complete and other nonsense? Curare, you say? I've never even heard of it.
You wouldn't have done.
What do you mean?
I mean that you wouldn't have heard of curare before for one very simple reason. It doesn't exist in our country.
It doesn't exist?
Correct. Which means, no matter what test the police can do for toxins, they'd never identify curare.
Why?
Because there is no test available here that can identify the presence of this highly deadly poison.
What?
Order! 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 Counsel, does this deadly poison truly exist? According to this report authored by the visiting research student from England, curare has long been used by the tribespeople of South America as a poison to lace their arrows. It seems that it's reasonably well known among European doctors and scientists.
To lace their arrows?
The reports state that it is produced from the extract of a tree that grows deep in the Amazonian jungle, and it was first brought back to Europe at the turn of the century by explorers. It claims that animals shot by arrows laced with curare suffer instant death. Doesn't that about sum it up, Miss Brett?
Objection! Trumpery! These aspersions are utter trumpery! To start with, if the victim had been administered some of this so-called deadly poison, he would have been squirming and writhing in pain, and the other diners would have surely noticed.
That's true. What do you say to that, Inspector? Obviously, I would have noticed a disturbance like that. I don't remember anything like that either. I didn't notice the professor being in any kind of pain. According to this, however, it's the other way around.
What do you mean, the other way around?
The very fact that the victim didn't show any visible signs of distress is evidence that curare was used. Explain yourself, Counsel. The moment this toxin enters a person's system, it causes instant paralysis. In other words, afflicted victims lose all strength and are completely unable to move. Even if they were in total agony, there would be no visible signs of pain at all. How terrible! Obviously, if a man lost all strength in his muscles, he'd collapse on the floor. But with a chair under him for support, as Dr. Wilson did, the effects could go largely unnoticed. But I don't follow, Kazuma. That's just paralysis. I thought the poison caused instant death. The full explanation is extremely unpleasant. The poison causes immediate paralysis, as I said, leaving the victim unable to move. But after a short time, the paralysis is so severe, it causes the muscles that control respiration to fail. Respiration? In other words, the actual cause of death is suffocation. And all the while, the victim is conscious and aware, just unable to move. That's hideous! To the observer, it would look almost like the victim was slipping peacefully into an endless sleep. But for the victim himself, his final moments would be a living hell. That is the true nature of this deadly curare poison. Yo, that's fucked. That's fucked up. Holy shit. And you're suggesting that this bottle, Council, actually contains this terrifying poison.
This is all very convenient, isn't it? Hitherto unknown poison, which there is no means of testing? What a happy tale for the defense. If I may. All these facts. You think you're so clever, but you must thought some...
Yeah, pretty brutal way to kill him. She must have really hated the guy. It's definitely what it sounds like. Holy shit. I realize I'm saying holy shit a lot.
It is you who must be taught. Of course. Dear lady. So, this is how you Japanese behave, is it?
What?
You steal another honest, hard work, and then announce the results as if you discovered them. I'm appalled. What a loathsome act.
Well, Miss Brett, the feeling is mutual.
Whatever do you mean?
Capitalizing on the unfortunate circumstances of an innocent man to frame him for a heinous crime. That really is a loathsome act. Wouldn't you agree?
Enough of this! I, for one, refuse to accept it. The idea of some poison that doesn't even exist in the great empire of Japan is breaking the rules.
What's so funny?
Oh, excuse me. Your Excellency.
Yes, Miss Brett?
May I borrow that bottle for a moment, please?
Well, yes, I don't see...
No! No, you idiot! What are you doing? Don't get too big for your boots, you insignificant little island boys.
Sorry?
To an Englishwoman such as myself, this whole affair is a farcical comedy. Your little police games, and these foolish courtroom antics. It's laughable, really. But I'm getting bored of it all now. It's time for the games to end. Cheers.
Wait, what are you doing? Yeah, she poisoned the glass, not the bottle. That's what I'm thinking. Because it's rubbed onto arrows, right? So it's probably like topical. Let me check the court record again, because it does describe it a bit more in detail, doesn't it? Rudimentary. Okay, it doesn't say anything about what it's shaped like or smells like. No colorless, odorless stuff. But okay.
No sparkle left at all. How appropriate for this shabby affair.
Yeah, we definitely should have checked the glass. There's a reason why she took that and not anything else.
Goodness. Whatever is the matter? You all look quite stunned.
So, no curare. The bottle was clean. Is that what you're saying?
Ha ha ha. You look quite incredulous, little boy. But of course, that's the simple truth. Thank you for presenting the findings of my research so concisely here in this grand venue. Most kind.
Ugh.
Thank you, waiter. Now then, Your Excellency.
Oh, yes, Miss Brett.
I should like to be excused now, please. I think I've given more than enough of my time for the furtherance of friendship between our countries.
Yes, dear lady. We are most gratified with all the assistance you have given. This doesn't make sense. There had to have been poison in that bottle. So how? How did she swallow a whole glass and live to tell the tale? I don't understand it.
Well, I suppose if nothing else, this little Far Eastern charade will make for interesting conversation at the next party I attend in London.
There has to have been poison in that bottle, doesn't there? But there can't have been, because otherwise she would have keeled over dead. Come on, Ryunosuke. We have all the clues now. That bottle of water does not contain poison. As I thought, there is no poison in that bottle. What? Why, Ryunosuke? Isn't it obvious? If there was poison in there, she'd be dead by now. Sometimes your unadulterated naivete really astounds me. But sometimes it's in need of a good staining, until it is as dark as your uniform in the ways of the world. Oh, is that what this color is supposed to represent? Ah, shit. I was so certain of it. Okay. Like, yeah, she poisoned the glass is what I'm thinking. So, like, is that what this is going to lead us towards? Because, like, I should have saved before that. Oh well. A penalty's a penalty, I'll live with it. The culprit did put curare poison into Dr. Wilson's carbonated water. The defense refuses to change its position. You're serious?
Fool! Are you blind? There's no possible way the bottle could contain poison. I mean, we just saw
Miss Brett drinking the water from it?
That's right, which rather complicates your arguments, I think.
Yeah, to be honest, some of the way these games present the questions lead to red herring answers. Right. That's what trips me up more often than not in these games. It's not that I got their line of logic wrong, it's that I didn't figure out how they got from point A to point B. And I believe that complication can be explained.
How exactly?
I need to think through all the things that don't quite add up here, one by one. I'm sure the answer is in the evidence we have in the court record somewhere. It has to be. Very well. If the defense truly intends to assert this claim, then I must ask you to support the assertion with evidence. What explains how the witness was able to consume this supposedly poisoned water unscathed? Oh my god, I'm a dumbass. Duh, it's not poisoned by ingestion, it's poisoned by a wound in the mouth. Or, a wound. Because the doctor had a wound. God, I'm a dumbass. I'm sorry. This was definitely my fault for your,
Yes!
The answer to this riddle is right here in Miss Brett's own research reports.
That's not a valid explanation.
No.
After all, we don't speak English. That report is utter gibberish. This impudent young scoundrel is trying to ridicule the court, Your Excellency.
I'm not trying to ridicule anyone. Honest. I'm just reading Susada-san's notes. I concur. This report is too extensive to be considered in its entirety by the court. You will direct us to the pertinent section, Counselor. Which section of the report reveals the alleged answer to this riddle? Alright. So I just need to find the section where it says. Route of entry. The body through a wound. Part 2 of 3 in special characteristics. We've been hearing a lot about this curare poison. And it's left me curious about something. Oh, Counsel? Well, it sounds as though indigenous hunters have been using this poison for years and years, to lace the heads of the arrows that they shoot at whatever prey they're hunting. So we've been led to believe, yes. And the point of hunting is to catch prey to eat.
Get to the point, please!
But if they were to use these laced arrows, doesn't that mean there would be traces of poison left in the prey the hunters were going to eat? Yes, good point. So surely the hunters wouldn't want to eat their prey, would they? Because then they'd be eating poison. Good gracious, Counsel! No, that would be madness! But I actually found the answer to that conundrum in this research paper here. Under special characteristics, it says this. The poison starts to work after entering the body through a wound. Through a wound, you say? I see, that makes sense. Yes, the mention of that particular detail seemed a little strange to me, though. But it all makes sense when you interpret what's written like this. When curare enters the body through an open wound, it has terrifying poisonous effects. However, when it enters the body via the mouth, it has no poisonous effects whatsoever. What? Miss Brett, you authored this research. You knew curare's special characteristics. And you knew that you could make a spectacle of drinking that water without any danger to yourself.
You meddling little rapscallion!
Oh, we pissed off her duck head now. Well, Ryunosuke, it turns out you're an even better lawyer than I thought you'd be. Really? Me? A lawyer?
All this poison talk is fascinating, I'm sure, but I fail to see how it possibly... So, the ill-bred little puppy has a new toy to play with. Some facts he read in a book. But I'm afraid knowledge doesn't suit you, little boy. It only makes you look silly.
What are you trying to say?
Your schoolboyish logic has a fatal flaw.
Schoolboyish? Flaw?
As even your brain has managed to deduce, curare is safe to ingest. It seems likely that its effects are neutralized by the acidic nature of the gastric succus.
Oh, yes, well, of course. Gastric suckers? What are they?
So, if this lethal poison is completely harmless when drunk, the professor wouldn't have died when he swallowed it, would he?
Oh, that's right? Good gracious.
That's basic science. Science that even a schoolboy should be able to understand, no?
Order! Order in the court! Order! The logic holds. If the lady and the professor drank the same poison, they would be affected in the same way. Are you trying to suggest?
Yes, this curare poison is completely irrelevant to the case on trial. That's right. Surely even a little cockroach like you could understand something as simple as that.
What is this welling up inside me? I've never felt like this before. It's a sort of conviction to break down all the discrepancies. It's so intense, almost rage-like. And, more than anything else, it's an animalistic desire to take down my prey.
Objection!
I don't think so, Miss Giselle Brett. Finally, we got an objection. It's pretty weak, though.
How dare you use that tone with me?
You know very well that there's no fatal flaw here. You know exactly why, even though both you and the victim swallowed the same poison. You are alive, but Dr. Wilson is dead. Counsel, I'm sure I don't need to remind you. You must provide compelling evidence, as we now know that this poison is completely harmless when ingested. Why would Dr. Wilson alone have been killed by the curare? Alright, I'm gonna save again, even though I'm like 3,000% sure it's this.
Take that!
Oh damn, an actual take that. As Miss Brett so readily pointed out, she drank the same water as the professor. However, there was a fundamental and fatal difference between the two diners. A fatal difference? The toxic effects of curare are only felt when the poison enters the body through an open wound. So, for a healthy person with no injuries, drinking it is completely harmless. But what if there was a wound inside the mouth of the person drinking the poisoned water? Inside? Yes, like the wound you might have if you had just been to the dentist and had a tooth extracted, for example. Miss Brett, you've acknowledged many times in your testimony already that you were well aware of Dr. Wilson's dental appointment that day. So that's it. You use that knowledge to orchestrate this. Is she laughing?
I don't like to repeat myself, but honestly, I can't resist. These childish courtroom games and your half-baked arguments are all so puerile.
What do you mean?
Don't worry, little schoolboy. You'll find out soon enough.
That's why you don't give key witnesses evidence. My gosh.
You see, when you leave vital evidence lying around, you never know what might happen to it.
No!
I mean, it could just slip.
See, this is what I thought was gonna happen. I thought she was just gonna break the bottle.
Oh dear, how careless of me. I'm afraid some crucial evidence may have just been tragically destroyed.
No! What is it? What just happened? It's the Englishwoman. She just smashed that bottle. In the Supreme Court. What a terrible blunder. Officer, what are you waiting for? Collect up as much of the water from that broken bottle as possible. At once!
You're wasting your time. This delightful carpet under my feet here was a gift from the British Empire. I assure you, it'll soak up the water beautifully. You have neither the technology nor the presence of mind to recover it.
Ha 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 ha. How could you? You won't get away with this.
You can thump the bench and shout as much as you like, little boy. But I'm afraid we'll never know now, will we? If there really was poison in the bottle, or not.
You.
And let us not forget, we still have some very compelling evidence left intact. Isn't that right, counsel for the prosecution? Oh, of course, of course! You're referring to this photographic print, I presume, dear lady. That's right. And really, looking at this photograph, it's as clear as day, isn't it? The poor professor was sitting with his back to me. So of course the only person who could have shot him from the front is the little schoolboy.
Objection!
No, you killed the victim that day.
using karare. And then, in order to frame Ryunosuke Naruhodo for the crime, you waited until he picked up the pistol you'd arranged for him to find on the floor, before you shot the professor's dead body in the chest with your own hidden gun. Then, in the confusion that followed, all you had to do was turn the dead professor in his chair around. You see, you had every opportunity to commit this crime. What a wonderful imagination you have, young man. A hidden gun, you say? And I shot the professor's dead body, did I? Well, I'm terribly sorry, but you don't have a shred of evidence. Exactly. And as you have nothing to support your wild claims, the prosecution's stance remains unchanged. The victim, Dr. John H. Wilson, was killed by a gunshot to the chest. Delivered in cold blood by the accused, Ryunosuke Naruhodo. This is unbelievable. How can this be happening? We had her. But now, is she really gonna get away with it? Maybe. Whew. Sorry, I'm getting a bit parched. The way she destroyed that evidence was obscene. Ryunosuke. Yes? We've come this far, but now you're the only one that can finish it. What do you mean? We've lost a vital piece of evidence, it's true. So, if there are any clues left for us to use now, they must be in your head. In my head? You told me before that your powers of observation were the one thing you could really depend on. Well, yes, that's true, but I didn't manage to notice that this woman was a foreigner with a swan on her head. So think back again now. Try to remember every last detail about the scene that day. Everything you saw, everything you felt, every color, every smell. What I saw, what I felt. Every color. Is Cosma right? Somewhere in the vibrant memory of the same scene in my head. Could there be another clue to expose the identity of Dr. Wilson's killer? Well, yeah, naturally. Actually, Cosma, I think I might have something. Thinking back over everything I saw, I think I might have uncovered another clue. You always have something up your sleeve, don't you, Ryunosuke? Come on, then. Let's wipe the smug smile off that Englishwoman's face with some evidence. Alright. I can't wait. It's been niggling me for a while that something feels amiss in my memories of that day. Whatever it is could be the key to arriving at the truth about all this. It's here somewhere. The clue that shows who Dr. Wilson's real killer must have been. I mean, I guess I'm supposed to point out that bloodstain that's not steak sauce? I hope that's what the game's telling me to do. It seems like it is.
Take that!
Inspector Hosonaga, answer me this. Yes? What is it? He's still miles away. Probably thinking about that bottle being smashed. As you've said a number of times now, you strive for perfection in your investigations, don't you? Absolutely. I wonder, therefore, if perhaps you took anything else from the scene of the crime. Like, for instance, the plate of steak that you took to the victim's table that day.
Objection!
Wait a minute! Where are you going? Where are you going with this, little boy? It's just a memory that's been troubling me. What memory? I saw the scene shown in this photographic print with my own eyes that day. and I saw that on the wooden base of the plate that the steak was served on was a spattering of blood.
What?
Oh, really? And what of it? Obviously, that must have happened when you shot the professor. No, that can't be the case. Take a good look at the photograph and the relative position of everything there. The plate of steak is almost directly behind the victim. If I'm supposed to have shot Dr. Wilson in the chest from the front, there's no way that blood from the victim could have ended up directly behind him. Yes. For blood to have made it onto the plate implies that the plate was between the victim and the shooter, which means the shooter must have been sitting opposite the professor, as you were. Giselle Brett. I beg your pardon?
Attention!
This is beyond ridiculous. Fabricated nonsense.
Is the court seriously expected to believe something the accused has apparently just remembered seeing?
Yeah, the bullet didn't go through the victim, despite being a point-blank shot. Yeah.
Hold it!
Oh, that was him. This could be the moment that my entire career in the police force has been leading to. Yeah, I guess it does depend on stopping power as well. Like, if it's just like a simple Derringer or whatever, it's not gonna have much stopping power. But if it's gonna be like a Desert Eagle or a Magnum, it's gonna like rip holes through you. Inspector, you mean? Yes, I took the plate in the interest of preserving evidence from the scene of the crime. I took it, meat and all, and I don't care if they call me a crime scene thief because of it.
You did what?
I took the steak that you had been eating, Miss Brett. I took the steak that the sergeant had been eating. And I did it all in the name of justice. Then we can find out for sure whether or not there's a blood stain on Miss Brett's plate. We must examine it now. Yeah, one of those dinky hidden guns, it's not gonna, like, punch through. It's just gonna leave a nice little entrance wound. Oops. I dropped my controller. Inspector! The court wishes to examine the plate from the victim's table immediately. Yes, sir. This case is crazy. It keeps going all over the place. Sorry for the delay. Here is what you ordered. The steak. Well, what about the blood? Is there blood on it? Of course there isn't. Quickly, Inspector. The blood man! Show the court! Of course. Examine the plate at your leisure. No. No blood. No blood anywhere. But no, that's impossible! I know I saw it. I'm sure of it. It was right there on the table behind the professor. There was blood on the side of the plate.
What an unbecoming expression, little boy. You see, this is why I always say you can't trust what the Japanese tell you. Just, I couldn't agree more. In the case of this disgrace to the Empire.
I believe we may finally have reached a conclusion in this trial.
Let's hope so. This let's pretend attempt at courtroom proceedings is painful to watch. But I do promise to do my best to forget all about it when it's over. Ha! This sorry-looking steak reveals the facts all too clearly. If the sorry-looking accused wishes to examine it again, be my guest.
Well, yeah, I'd love to. Was the plate I saw, or thought I saw, just a figment of my imagination?
Huh? What in the world is this? I think it's a Koban coin. And the hallmark is from the Hoei era, I believe. No, I don't mean what is it. I mean, what's it doing there? Wait, did you say it was a Hoei Koban? Yes, and apart from the meat juices, it looks to be in good condition. I imagine it's very valuable. This isn't the first time today there's been talk of a Hoei Koban. I've heard of pearls before swine, but I've never heard of bullion in bouillon. Oh god. And I don't think you ever will again. This is extraordinary, though. This means... I certainly never expected to find a precious coin underneath this thick cut of meat. And it's from the Hoei era, too. That would make it really quite valuable. It's well marinated in the juices as well. Look. What? Are you thinking of eating it? No, but the next time I order a steak in an expensive restaurant, one thing's for sure. My heart's gonna be racing as I lift up the meat and peer underneath for a prize. I think you might have the wrong end of the stick about this, Ryunosuke. Koban coin underneath the steak. There's only one logical explanation. The plates have been switched. He took the plates of steak from both tables, did he not? So I'm gonna make my save again. The rabbit hole just got deeper. It certainly did. This is it now. I've lost. Ryunosuke, it's not over yet. Not until the final gavel. Never stop believing in yourself. Keep looking forward no matter what. Believe in myself? Really? Maybe I should at least examine the evidence for myself. As the evidence requested by the defense has not been shown to be problematic in any way, I presume any further examination of evidence in this trial will be unnecessary. Hold on, maybe is there something else on the bottom, maybe? I want to check this out as well. This emblem on the side of the plate, is it a cat? It's a cow, obviously. Most likely because the restaurant's signature dish is beefsteak. It seems a lot of different restaurants have their own unique tableware. So this is the symbol of Le Carnaval, is it? Oh, it's just the same stuff. Skip. Skip. Alright. I think that's everything I can examine on that. Does the defense have any objection? That bloodstain was going to clinch the trial for me. Can this plate of steak reveal any other clues at all? Your Excellency, please, wait. This plate of beef is hiding another clue. Another clue that will reveal the shocking truth.
The only thing that's shocking here is your unhealthy fascination with beefsteak. Your Excellency, I think I've made myself clear, haven't I? I will not be able to turn a blind eye to any more unnecessary procrastination in this trial.
I'm sorry, Miss Brett, but we must ensure a thorough examination of the evidence. I will not give a ruling until I'm completely satisfied that all reasonable doubt has been dispelled.
I see. As a newly affirmed ally of my country, that's still your position, is it?
Thank you, Your Excellency. Counsel for the defense, you will now clearly show the court to what you are alluding. Where precisely on this plate of beefsteak is this new clue to be found? I had to open it up, right? I mean, that's what I'm supposed to do, I think. I can't even, like, fast way through this. Alright, let's present here.
Got it!
Good gracious! That's... A Koban? What on earth? A Hoei era one at that. Miss Brett, this is in fact the beefsteak that you ordered at the restaurant in the day in question, is it? Tell me, why is there an old coin seemingly hidden underneath the meat?
Shut up!
What a ridiculous question. How should I know? I've never seen that thing before in my life. I don't know what this is, but I want no part of it.
Attention!
I fail to see how this is relevant. A coin underneath the meat? That could simply have been a careless mistake by the chef in a moment of distraction.
Objection!
Don't be absurd. We're supposed to believe that this happened by accident in the kitchen? A rare Hoei Koban just happens to be hidden underneath that piece of steak? If this turns out to be irrelevant to the case, I'll rip up my ticket to Great Britain right now. He's right. It can't be a coincidence. Your Excellency. Yes, Counsel? A rare Hoei Koban just happens to be hidden underneath that piece of steak. If this turns out to be irrelevant to the case, I'll give up my lawyer job right now.
Attention!
By all means, don't let us stop you. No one invited you anyway.
Shut up!
Perhaps, little boy, you should realize that it is you who is irrelevant.
Even though I'm the one on trial here? You're not a lawyer in the first place, though. I know, right?
The point is, it's essential that we ask the owner of this coin if he can explain what it's doing underneath that steak.
The owner?
Yes, it's obvious. There's only one person it can belong to. The owner of the Koban that was found underneath the beefsteak is... this man. I'm just saving just in case, because always save before presenting evidence.
Take that!
Obviously, it can only be the antiques dealer and owner of Rasute, Kiryo Korakuta-san. Kiri... as in Mr. Cucumber something? Honestly, these ridiculous Japanese names are quite unfathomable. Ah, yes. The old man who testified earlier alongside the military sergeant, correct? Yes, Your Excellency. I remember him saying that he was up to something with his Koban coin when it happened, at exactly the moment the gun was fired. The gunshot interested me not. I was far too busy on the floor.
Too busy on the floor? Sorry, what were you doing?
Hunting for treasure. Indeed, the Hoei era Koban, my prized coin.
Then this Hoei era Koban, do you mean to tell me?
Attention!
No, please. Why would Korakuta-san's Koban be sandwiched beneath the victim's beefsteak in its plate? Makes no sense.
Yes!
So the coin somehow slipped under his meal? Somehow, yes. My theory is that the person he was dining with, the person who was also eating a beefsteak, stole the man's Koban and hid it underneath his meal. However, in order to throw off the scent of the case, Giselle swapped the plates. So this is not actually the meal she was eating from. Which is why I'm asking to bring Korakuta-san back to the witness stand so we can ask him. Officer, bring both witnesses that testified earlier back in here. Without a moment's delay. I can't believe we've come back round to that pair again. But I have a hunch, a strong hunch, that if we chase down the real significance of this Koban, we'll find that it's a key element in the case. This is one crowded stand. What's this all about? Why have I been called up again?
Don't you realize that it's dinner time for little baby Ido? When my son's belly's empty, he's fiercer than a pack of wolves.
Exploited by the police we were, like miserable dogs forced to bear false witness. And when cast from this courtroom, myself, I became a ruined man in a trice, a worthless, withered antique. Nothing more have I to say. The sun has set on this Rasute shop's owner's existence.
Be that as it may, Korakuta-san, something has come to light that requires your clarification. As far as your Rasute memory serves, have you ever seen this Koban?
What? Yes! That's it! That's the one! The very one! The very exact one that is!
Oh man, poor Nosa. Holy shit.
The resplendent, splendiferous Hoei treasure that my rusty bones managed to misplace that fateful day!
It can't be. As I thought.
Young man, enlighten this decrepit old fool. Put me out of my misery. Where? Where was my treasure? Where was it dropped?
Oh, I'm not sure if it was dropped anywhere. We found your coin sandwiched beneath the beefsteak and its plate, soaking in the seasoned meat's juices.
Sandwich? Soaking? Seriously?
Clearly, it couldn't have fallen there by accident. Which means somebody must have hidden it in there on purpose.
Somebody concealed my Hoei treasure between a slab of meat and a metal plate. Who would do such a thing? Such an unconscionable thing!
Excuse me. Could I say something? Yes, of course. Proceed, Inspector Hosonaga. I mentioned this earlier on in the trial, but I was working undercover in the restaurant in order to investigate another case.
Ah, yes, that's right. The secret undercover operation.
Le Carnival is a high-class Western cuisine restaurant. It attracts wealthy diners, including many foreigners. Recently, there has been a run of similarly executed thefts targeting the restaurant's rich clientele. A number of such incidents have been reported to the police bureau. Yeah, Sergeant here's not suspicious at all. Wicked crimes indeed. We wanted to nip the case in the bud quickly, especially with so many foreigners being affected. So that's why you were sent in undercover, is it? Yes. I took on the job of waiter at the restaurant in order to flush out the criminal. It seems likely that this Koban incident is the work of the same thief. So, unbeknownst to us, there was a master thief at work in the restaurant on a regular basis. The place was already the scene of several crimes, it seems. I don't know about the master thief part, but the identity of the person who stole and hid Korakuta's Koban is all too clear.
What? What?
I think the court would like to hear the defense's view on this matter. Tell us, who is the despicable scoundrel that stole Korakuta-san's Koban and hid it under the steak? Yeah, it should be pretty clearly that it's Ayesa Nosa.
Take that!
Obviously, it can only be you, Sergeant Ayesa Nosa. What? How? How dare you? You monster! Monster? I stole that Koban, did I? I'm the master thief of Le Carnival, am I? You're seriously accusing me of these crimes, cadet? But it wasn't me. It was Ido. Ido's the mastermind behind all this. You would push the blame for your crimes onto your own son, an innocent little baby. It's you who's the monster, Sergeant Nosa.
Clippity clap, clippity clap, clippity clap, clippity clap, clippity clap. Ah! What the hell? What the hell was that? Nippon Imperial Army, Sergeant Iesanosa, preparing to stand down in the Supreme Court, sir. That was an amazing breakdown. Do any of you know of the extraordinarily low wages the Nippon Imperial Army pays those it expects to keep our country safe? I understand that the temporary increase in taxation owing to the recently ended conflicts remains in place. And I've heard that it's hard for lower-ranking soldiers to make a living, yes. All I want is to put a hot meal on the table for my son. That's why you were stealing things at the restaurant? The place is heaving with money. Every 3 days, I'd go there and do reconnaissance for a target. And I'd enjoy chopping my way through a good steak at the same time. Sounds like he doesn't bother with a knife and fork even, which is worryingly believable. And your target that day was the old man in his koban. Yes, sir. He was an easy mark. I slipped the coin into my pocket without any trouble at all. A veritable phantom thief you are. I was all set to leave the steak I was halfway through devouring when it happened. Yes, when the professor was shot. I knew that if the police conducted a search and found the coin in my pocket, I'd be finished. I'd owe too. So I hid the incriminating evidence as fast as I could, on the double. I slipped it under the steak, hoping that I'd be able to rendezvous with it again at a later date. This is ridiculous. Perhaps you could carry on with this absurd prattling on your own time. Well, Miss Brett? Oh, of course, dear lady, of course. How rude of us. I'm quite sure there's no need to detain you any longer at all. May the esteemed gentlewoman please be excused, Your Excellency. Indeed. The theft of the koban was clearly perpetrated by this baby-saddled sergeant. It would certainly appear to be unrelated to Dr. Wilson's murder. Of course it is. Hiding a coin under a lump of meat. The sheer nonsense of such an idea astounds me. Nonsense, is it? Well, And as for picking up your steak and biting into it without using a knife and fork, it's beyond nonsense. It's pure madness. Very well. Now that all questions concerning this witness's testimony have been answered, I see no further justification for detaining her. Miss Brett, you are free to leave. Thank you, Your Excellency. Good luck, everyone. And good day. Yeah? You figure it out, man? Ryunosuke, what's the matter with you? This is no time for daydreaming. Oh, no, it's just... something about Miss Brett's parting words there got me thinking. I can't quite work out what exactly, but something she said jarred with me. I feel like there was a contradiction in there somewhere. Something didn't quite add up. If that's the case, don't just stand there thinking. Make your voice heard. Sorry? You can think later, but if you don't call out now, it'll be too late. The trial will be over.
Hold it!
Wait, Miss Brett. What is it now? I'm afraid, just one last time, there's something I'd like to ask you. I'd like you to explain the contradiction in your parting words from just a few moments ago. What are you talking about? What contradiction?
Objection!
What
new student nonsense is this?
Well, what parting words are you talking about, Ryunosuke?
Hiding a coin under a lump of meat. The sheer nonsense of such an idea astounds me.
So yeah, let's take a look at this plate again. Does this look like it was cut with a knife and fork? Certainly doesn't to me. Looks like he just took big honkin' bites out of it. So, tell me, does Miss Brett seem like the person who would take big honkin' bites out of her beefsteak? I think not.
And as for picking up your steak and biting into it without using a knife and fork, it's beyond nonsense. It's pure madness.
Yes, I'm right. What she said there exposed an undeniable contradiction. I'm going to need to see evidence, Counsel. If Miss Brett's words truly are contradictory, where is the evidence to prove it? Alright, again, saving before presenting evidence.
Take that!
The steak that Miss Brett had been eating before the professor was killed. Yes. Go on. More accurately, Your Excellency, the steak that was on the victim's table just before the professor was killed.
Now you're just spitting hairs.
Splitting hairs. Not true. Doesn't something about this steak strike you as very unnatural?
Unnatural? What on earth do you mean?
It's extremely obvious. I'm talking about the shape of the edge where it's been eaten. I see you've noticed it too, Miss Brett. Notice what exactly, Counsel? Just a few moments ago, Miss Brett claimed no Englishman could even contemplate picking up a steak and biting into it without using a knife and fork.
Of course she did! She's a refined English gentlewoman herself.
Then take a good look at this steak. In particular, the edge where it's been eaten. As you can see, there are clearly defined, barbaric teeth marks there.
Oh!
Oh! It looks like Miss Brett has realized something. So, if the witness, as she claims, wouldn't contemplate eating anything without using a knife and fork, there shouldn't be teeth marks in the steak at all.
Objection!
But what is your actual point? Perhaps the delightful Miss Brett was ravenously— Shut up!
Oh, God.
Oh, whatever you say, dear lady. As I said, I really must be leaving now. Afternoon tea with the Minister of Justice cannot possibly wait any longer. Of course. This will all be over in the blink of an eye. Rest assured, I'm about to put this rookie in his place. I've heard enough, you irritating little spectacled samurai relic. Of course. Dear lady.
What's the matter, Miss Brett? Have we ruffled your feathers? Clearly the witness knows what this means. She's realized the catastrophic implications these teeth marks in the steak have for her. Ryunosuke, do you know where you're going with this? Yes. Now at last, it's all come together. The mysterious teeth marks in a steak that had allegedly been eaten with cutlery. The reason why the bloodstain I know I saw somehow seems to have disappeared. And most importantly, the evidence that proves once and for all who shot Dr. Wilson that day. I accept that these teeth marks in the steak are a little unnatural, as you put it, Counsel. But what exactly are you suggesting that tells us? Everything, Your Excellency.
Everything?
Yes. I believe that these barbaric teeth marks in the steak here amount to conclusive evidence in this case. Evidence that will prove beyond any doubt who shot Dr. Wilson.
Conclusive evidence? How many times have I heard that today? You wouldn't know the meaning of the phrase. Typical Japanese empty threats.
How can you be so sure?
Oh, it's quite simple. If you really had such conclusive evidence, you would have presented it to the court long ago.
Actually, the evidence I'm talking about hasn't been brought before the court yet.
Hasn't been... What?
But just because it hasn't been shown yet, doesn't mean that the evidence does not exist.
This is absurd. The trial has run several hours already, and you say there's evidence yet to be brought forward? There can't be. I don't believe you have it.
I don't, but there's someone who does have it. Someone in this very courtroom. And if that person is willing to submit the piece of evidence I'm referring to, it will solve every remaining mystery about this case. Very well. I have a feeling this will be my last request of the defense in this trial. Who possesses the conclusive evidence that will reveal the truth of this whole affair?
Take that!
The answer is obvious. It's Inspector Hosonaga.
What? I have it?
Yes. You think I've been withholding conclusive evidence? That's ridiculous. No. I'm not saying that. Everyone's attention has been focused on this stake with the teeth marks. Yes. Now, earlier this afternoon, Sergeant Nosa told the court the following. I'd enjoy chomping my way through a good steak. And as well as admitting to stealing Korakuta-san's coin, he told us that he slipped it under the steak. You watch it, cadet! I'm a superior officer! Sergeant Nosa, could you please confirm something for me? Was the stake that you put the coin under, in fact, your own stake?
Dansha! Affirmative, of course! I might be a soldier in the Imperial Nippon Army, but still. I'm not brave enough to ask a foreign gentlelady if she might mind me manhandling her meal that had something in it.
In other words, the stake that the detective submitted as evidence earlier was in fact Sergeant Nosa's meal.
But that makes no sense. That plate was taken from the victim's table.
Yet the gentlewoman doesn't take bites out of her steak, nor did she have any opportunity to steal the coin.
Of course I didn't steal it. To even suggest such a thing would be an affront to the entire British Empire.
Well then, how do you explain this paradox?
Exactly. Surely you're not going to suggest that the sergeant switched the two stakes over. You did switch the plates?
Well, after it happened, when I saw the civilian had been murdered right in front of my eyes like that, I panicked. As I said, I immediately lifted my stake and hid the coin underneath it. But then when the waiter announced that he was an undercover policeman, I thought I had it. If he decided to investigate my slab of meat, that'd be it. I'd be getting my marching orders. Can we go to England already? we need to put some Brits in their place, right? So, when the cadet here was arrested and taken off to the kitchen, I seized my chance. With military precision and timing, I switched my steak with the one on the foreign lady's table.
What? You can't have. I never saw you do such a thing.
It was called Operation Lightning Bolt. There was no time for strategic planning. It was do or die, I tell you. So yes, I did what I had to be done.
Unbelievable!
However, fear not, Prosecutor-san.
What now?
I swear on the brass button of my uniform, that is all I did, sir.
All you did? That's plenty, Sergeant.
Yes!
So, if Sergeant Nosa switched the plates over,
it means he took Miss Brett's steak, and the plate it was on, back to his own table. Yes, that follows. Inspector Hosonaga. Yes? Earlier in this trial, you told the court this. You said that you had not only taken Miss Brett's steak after the incident, but also the sergeant's. That to preserve evidence, you had taken both. That's correct. Then please present it to the court now. The plate that was actually on the victim's table at the precise moment he was shot.
What can that possibly tell us now? I mean, a cold slab of tough meat? It can't have the slightest bearing on the case.
No, you're not wriggling your way out of it this time, lady.
I beg your pardon?
Surely you're not that forgetful. Surely you remember the reason why the steak pan promises to prove such a problem for you, no?
You're the ones who decided it was a problem, not me.
The reason the defense asked to see that plate was to confirm something that the defendant remembers seeing.
Thinks he remembers.
I'm quite sure of what I saw, Miss Brett. On the side of the plate that was on the table directly behind Dr. Wilson, there was a clear spattering of blood from the gunshot wound to the victim's chest. I believe the defendant's memory serves him well. And now we have the evidence to prove it. The plate you were eating from, Miss Brett. Let us not prolong this any further. Inspector, you will show the evidence to the court. Present the beefsteak and plate that was originally on the victim's table at the time of the incident. Yes, sir. Oh my god, this case is ridiculous. Sorry for keeping you. Here is the other steak and its plates. Please, feel free to examine it. Well, the bloodstain is clearly evident.
Yes!
Bloodstain, it's clearly visible. Look! Now this makes everything clear. The blood you can see on the side of the plate shows that at the moment the victim was shot, he was facing the table with his back to me. In other words, it's impossible for Naruhodo-san to have shot the victim.
It can't be.
In fact, there's only one person who could have possibly shot Dr. Wilson from the front. I'm sure everyone knows by now who that person is. That's right. Miss Giselle Brett. It's you!
How done? By a Japanese? Me? By a Japanese schoolboy? No. No. No!
Oh, put down the goose.
Ah!
What the heck was that? Oh, I love these. What the fuck? Oh my god. I love it. Oh, it's so cute. Aww. Duckies.
Please excuse my little outburst. I briefly lost my composure. Most unbecoming behavior for an English gentlewoman. Forgive me.
Well, Miss Brett, I think it's time you told the court what actually happened that day. The truth, this time.
Gladly, Your Excellency.
It was I who took the professor's life using curare. As you surmised, I chose that particular day for one very important reason. The professor had a dental appointment for the extraction of one of his teeth in the morning. So you plan to kill the professor, knowing that no trace of poison would be found in his water. Because curare is unheard of here in Japan. Yes. Of course, I never intended to remain at the restaurant for as long as I did. I only needed to see the professor take one tiny sip of his water, and it would all be over. I would place the steak I had ordered in front of him to make it appear as though he had been dining alone, and leave immediately. However, before any of that happened, there was an unexpected visitor at the professor's table. That would be me, I suppose. Yes, you. Who else? Such a trifling matter, but the fact that you decided to come over to greet the professor meant that I had lost my chance to slip away unnoticed. In due course, the professor took a sip of his water and was paralyzed. I made sure he was sitting in his chair such that he wouldn't fall. There was no going back at that point. So I concocted a plan on the spur of the moment. A plan to pin Dr. Wilson's murder on this innocent man. I happened to know that the professor always carried a gun. I decided to use that fact to my advantage. I had the bottle of curare in my handbag, and my own pistol concealed underneath my skirt. Under your skirt? So I was right. There were two guns. Yes. And then I finished my coffee and got up to leave. That's when I noticed the professor's gun, which you had presumably placed on the floor. Placed where you were sure that I would notice it. And everything went according to plan. You noticed the gun, as I'd intended. And then, just as you bent down to pick it up, that's when you shot the professor with your own gun. Even though at that point, he was already dead. Naturally, the gunshot caused a commotion, at which point the waiter appeared. Obviously, I assumed Naruhodo was the culprit and apprehended him. I took him to the pantry that adjoins the kitchen and locked him inside. That's when I took the opportunity to turn the professor in his chair around. Because of course, you needed to make it look like the defendant had shot Dr. Wilson from where he'd picked up the gun. So there you have it. That is the entirety of my misdemeanor. Your Excellency. Yes? I wonder, might I speak with you in private later? I shall call on you. Misdemeanor. Did we explain the motive? No, we didn't have a chance to. She just, seemed to kill him for fun. We don't know why she did it. Thank you. Good day then, everyone. I hope you can forgive me, Naruhodo-san. Yeah, she's gonna pull some diplomatic immunity bullshit, I am sure. Like, the only reason she would say that is because she knew that, you know, she would get away with it. It would seem this trial has finally run its course. I presume the prosecution is in agreement. Yeah, because of the relationship between Britain and Japan during this period was heavily in favor of the British. Yeah, the Japanese Empire was essentially subservient to the British Empire.
This can't be. Takatsuchi Achi does not lose. Not to the likes of this rookie student.
You'd better start getting used to tough opposition.
Ah! Ryunosuke Naruhodo.
What? Yes?
This insult to the Aoshi family name will never be forgotten.
You've become conceited with age, Council. But the old have to stand aside and make way for the new. It's the way of the world. May you never forget that. Oh shit, he's just gonna kill him. No. Dishonored. 1,000 millennia may pass, and still the Aoshi clan will never measure up to the Naruhodo clan. This trial in the Supreme Court of Japan will, I believe, go down in history as the start of a new chapter in our country's judicial system. Despite being summoned as the accused, you, Ryunosuke Naruhodo, presented an excellent case. Thank you, Your Excellency. The use of evidence and deduction to unravel the truth is a modern methodology. After all, it has only been a few short decades since our country opened its doors to the wider world. But the Western ideas of science are rapidly gaining acceptance here. I feel sure that science will soon bring new methods of investigation and new procedures of justice. A new future of law awaits, but what it will look like, I cannot begin to imagine. That is for the young to pursue. Kazuma Asogi. Yes. After this trial, you are set to embark on a journey of discovery to the illustrious British Empire. Learn all you can. Absorb everything of the wider world that you are able to. And do not forget to fulfill the mission imposed upon you. I understand, Your Excellency. What was that about? Why do you look so grave all of a sudden? Never mind. Excuse me, what's going on here? As for you, Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Yes? In you, I sense, how can I put it, unusual potential. I very much look forward to seeing how you carry that onward. Thank you, Your Excellency. It is time to deliver the final verdict. I hereby find the defendant, Ryunosuke Naruhodo, not guilty. Oh shit, we got sakura petals coming in from the ceiling. Wonder who's sending those out. This court is now adjourned. November, 2:46 p.m. Supreme Court of Judicature, Defendants, Antechamber 5. I can't believe it. I can't believe what's happened. I made it. I defended myself and made it through that horrendous trial. Ryunosuke, you finally pulled it off. Congratulations. Well, I couldn't have done it without you. Thank you, Kazuma. No, it was a pleasure to watch you at work. So, you owe me an extra large sukiyaki from the place on Yume University Street. Don't forget. Good afternoon. All your hard work has certainly paid off. Congratulations to both of you for proving Naruhodo-san's innocence. Ah, our trusty judicial assistant. You worked hard for that result too, you know. Oh no, I didn't do any. Thank you so much. If we hadn't had that research report of Miss Brett's, I don't know how things would have turned out. Your kind words should really be for my father. I was simply doing as he asked. It was his idea for me to go to the university and investigate.
Your father? Ah, yes, of course.
Forgive me for intruding on court proceedings, Your Excellency. Susato Mikotoba, Judicial Assistant to the Defense.
Speaking of Mikotoba... Ah, there you are. I believe congratulations are in order. Naruhodo, you did an excellent job.
Thank you, Professor.
Oh no, it is I who should be thanking you. After all, your efforts exposed the true criminal that took the life of my good friend.
Good friend? Oh yes, you mentioned that before. It was you who actually invited Dr. Wilson to Yume University, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was a really fun trial, actually. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I think it stands up pretty well with the Case 3-1 trial. I remember that one pretty fondly. And I also remember the Spirit of Justice one pretty fondly as well. But this might top both of them, actually. Yes, that's right. Professor Mikotoba studied overseas himself. He went to study forensic medicine in Great Britain. Is Naruhodo a custom name or the game's choice? It is the game's choice. He is actually Naruhodo Ryunosuke. Because of course he is. Naruhodo is basically Japanese for, oh, I see. Or I understand. Presumably that's when you met Dr. Wilson. Exactly. In those days, we worked together in the same hospital.
Oh, you work together?
I've never heard you mention that before. Well, it was a long time ago now. Besides, it's your turn, Asogi. Great Britain is a magnificent country. It leads the world. In science, medicine, engineering, culture, and of course, in law. Watch and learn, my boy. See what's happening in the world's largest melting pot. I will. I'll learn all that I can. I swear on this, the spirit of the Asogi clan. You're not taking that sword to Great Britain, are you? Of course I am. A Japanese man's katana is his soul. This blade shows me where I need to go. And cuts down anything that's in my way.
Yes, I've definitely seen how sharp it is already with my own eyes.
That reminds me, what happened to the woman? To Giselle Brett, I mean. After all, she's guilty of murder. Ah, yes, her. It's not easy to tell you this, but... what do you mean?
Surely she's gonna face trial herself now. She is the true culprit after all.
She will be leaving Japan in the very near future. For Shanghai.
What? Shanghai?
Giselle Brett will not appear in court again in this country. I'm certain of that.
But why not?
It's a matter of consular jurisdiction.
Inspector Hosonaga.
It was a hard-fought battle in the courtroom today. Very impressive to watch. I must congratulate.
But what's all this about consular jurisdiction?
We cannot try this particular foreigner for her crimes here in Japan.
What? We can't try her? But then, who? Who's gonna bring her to justice?
A British consular court will hear her case. Somewhere far away, where our voices can't be heard.
But why a consular court?
Professor, I simply don't understand. I thought consular courts were a thing of the past now that we signed the Friendship Treaty. Yes, in normal circumstances you're right. Then, so long as this is not a serious incident of a highly political nature to our respective governments, they can't invoke a consular court just like that.
Oh, can't they?
Yes, she's a student, but it doesn't justify our governments making secret agreements about her fate, does it?
Something strange is going on.
So Miss Brett can't be held accountable for her actions here in Japan?
I'm afraid that for the young student. Today's trial was nothing more than a game all along. There was never any danger of comeuppance for her.
I don't believe it.
The British government's Foreign Affairs Ministry has demanded that we hand over custody of Miss Brett. They're obviously taking this case of a foreign student committing murder very seriously. We gotta go to England and get her there. Yeah, it sure sounds like it. I can't believe she's just gonna get off. I mean, I can believe it, but I hate it. I hate that she's getting off scot-free. But it's all going to change from now on. We can make it change. This is a time of great turmoil. This new era heralded by the start of the 20th century. One day, I have no doubt, that woman will receive the judgment she deserves. Yes, change is coming, and we're the ones driving it. Well, I think that's enough seriousness for now. This evening calls for a celebratory drink. But, Professor... You're right, this is no time for gloomy faces. We should be celebrating Ryunosuke's not guilty verdict. Let's start having some fun. Yeah, we still won. We proved our innocence, so we got that at least. That's something we can suggest. In that case, might I suggest Le Carnival? As the head waiter, I should be delighted to provide you with ample food and drink. You're a detective, Osanaga-san. Aren't you? You want us to go back to the murder restaurant? Yep. Let's not worry about details for now. To Le Carnival! Will you accompany us, Professor? Of course! The Carnival's food is second to none.
I shall go and attend to the paperwork for Naruhodo-san's release. Oh, yes, thank you. So, Giselle Brett won't be tried here. I suppose that means I'll never know. I'll never find out why she killed Dr. Wilson. Cosma. Yes, Ryunosuke? I just wanted to say thanks again. That's all. You really saved my skin today. I didn't do a thing. You were the lawyer in there, weren't you? That defense was all your own work. Your skills made the difference, though. One day, I bet you'll be the best lawyer in the world. I'm not so sure about that. To be honest, something kept occurring to me over and over again during that trial. I couldn't help thinking that maybe you're the one destined to become a great lawyer, not me. What? Come on, be serious. If I helped you today, it was only right at the very start of the trial. But you have a natural talent for it. For being a defense lawyer, I mean. Oh, no, not me. All that tense verbal combat. I never want to go through that ever again. I just did what you told me to. That's all. Because I knew I could trust you. That's the point. Sorry? What do you mean, that's the point? Listen, Ryunosuke. Do you know what the most crucial weapon is that any lawyer needs in order to win? Knowledge of the law? No. The ability to believe. To believe? To believe what? A defense lawyer has to fight for his clients. He has to believe in them at all times. Like you believed in me when I said I didn't do it. I'm human, just like you. I don't have some superhuman ability to know the truth. But you have to make a choice about what to believe in, and stick to it when you're defending someone. Sometimes in the courtroom, you can really be backed into a corner. But being able to remain faithful to what you choose to believe in, even then, well, that's not something that anyone can do. It takes a special kind of person. Believing in your client. Just look at today's trial. I'm a student lawyer with precious little real experience, but you never stopped believing in me. Well, you face seemingly hopeless situations time and again, but you never stopped looking for the truth. And in the end, you found it, through your own efforts, and because you never stopped believing in me. Thanks, Kazuma. There's something I want to ask you, actually, Ryunosuke. Well, it's a favor, really. Something very important to me. It sounds serious. What is... you're still here, are you? Oh, Inspector Hosonaga. I've arranged some rickshaws for us. Let's go. Thank you. We'll be right there. Let's pick up this conversation again later. We should be celebrating right now. Your first court victory. And your study tour to Great Britain, don't forget. Ah, yes. That too. I have to wonder what his favor is now. Oh man, so many questions. This is a really good setup case, that's for sure. So, my very first trial came to an end. Kazuma, Professor Mikotoba, Susato-san, who acted as my assistant, Inspector Hosonaga, who didn't really play much of a part, but still. Oh, come on, he provided the decisive evidence because of his perfect investigation skills. Curious on what's going to drag us to Britain. Me too. It was because of the help and support of all these people I managed to get through that trial. Maybe Asogi's gonna be like, hey, you wanna dress like me and go to Great Britain instead? But more importantly, Kazuma hadn't yet managed to ask his favor of me. Little did I realize just how much it would change my life. And that's the end of trial number 1. Holy crap, that was a great great starting trial, that's for sure. Next! Oh no, I couldn't. As much as I want to continue on and just keep going with the game, I've been streaming for nearly 3.5 hours, and my throat is starting to go. So, yeah, go to sleep, man. Oh, for sure. It's already 2 in the afternoon. That's like bedtime for me. So, in any case, that'll be all for today. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, and I hope you join me next time, whenever next time is. I'd love to do another, afternoon, early morning stream, but, depends on how things go. In any case, if you want to help support the channel, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. And if you want to help support the channel even more, I do have a Patreon account if you want to check that out as well. With all that said, have a good night, everyone, and we'll see you next time. Toodaloo.